Going on, everybody? It's your observant lineman Uche Waneri here with the homie for the first time. My dude Eric July. What's going on, brother?
Man, it's going on. I can't complain. Well, I can. It just won't do much good. But I do appreciate you. You having me on, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because I probably done hit. I probably done talked to in passing. We done talked on streams a couple of times.
Yeah.
But we always but lately we've been in passing a little more in the Twitterverse, which is cool. Which is the type that's shit that happens. I mean, and right. It's I don't pay attention to a lot of people's. Well, I won't say that. Sometimes I like to troll the shit out of people on Twitter because it's fun. Because why not?
Yeah,
it's Twitter. I never really fucked with Twitter until the last year. My entire life, bro. That's why people always like, you got a blue check mark. But I never seen you. No, I would never be on Twitter, so I don't really have a ton of followers, which is fine because I don't really care about how many followers I got.
Yeah,
could have 5. Hell, they'll have a hell of a time on my Twitter. I know that. But yeah, man, you have a lot of against the grain tweets, which.
Yeah,
I can appreciate because I'm a against the grain kind of cat. Sometimes to a fault, I'm against the grain for the sake of being against the grain. Sometimes just because it's in my nature. I do my own shit. I don't care about what the trends are.
Yeah,
a lot of times I buck the trends just because I know I can.
Yeah,
I tell, and for those of you who are just jumping on here, it's Thursday night, I mean, we all know yesterday we had the thing yesterday, and here we are on Thursday night, right back streaming. Everybody's kind of acting like ain't shit happened.
Yeah,
we almost the whole shit almost fucked off yesterday, but shit, I woke up this morning. Fuck it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Some people ain't. So whatever, right? For me, honestly, I was on the thing that I really enjoy when I look at your Twitter is that you really do just operate at the beat of your own drum.
Yeah. That's I've had the blessing of being able to be in a position, where I've not had to feel like I was ever really in the confines of having to stick to a particular agenda or narrative without the sake of offending a bunch of people. I know a lot of folks can't. It's either they can or they don't do it. I've
pride. A lot of people won't do it.
Yeah, true. It won't do it. That's probably even putting it better. I have, on the other hand, pride myself in everything that it is that I built, be it my musical career, the stuff that I do with the commentary stuff, and especially the political stuff, in which my position is just going to be what it is. And thankfully, I've been blessed enough to be put out there for the people to see it. And it has never been expected of me because they wouldn't get it, but it's never been expected of me to have to change what it was that I said. I talk about this with being with Blaze TV all the time, in which I remember when that first happened earlier this year, though I've been appearing on Blaze for years, it was something more official this year. And a lot of folks were like, well, they assumed, not a lot, it was just a couple of folks, stragglers, that would assume that, okay, well, because he's going here, these guys generally have this slant, that you are going to be expected to say this, and you're not going to be saying some of the things that maybe you say on Twitter or anything like that. And of course, that's not the case. And I tell people all the time that even with Glenn Beck, never once have I done a segment or anything at Blaze in which they were asking me, okay, or saying you can't say this or you can't say something. I was on there today talking about everything that went down and some of the positions that speaking of what happened yesterday, and I had you had Sarah, my man's Yako, who came out, and they were more so on a different side of where I was at with this whole situation, in which they personally, like, oh, they don't like it, they condemn it or whatever, and all this. And I went in it like, that's a den of criminals. I don't care. And that's how I am. I can get out there and say that to that audience. And I think that's because I've built my particular brand on exactly that. So it's not even expected of me because they wouldn't get it. But I do know that there's a lot of commentators, like a lot of people on, let's say, I get messages all the time from people that are big streamers, like Twitch streamers, for example, who like, man, I see your stuff, man. I agree with you a lot on what you say, but I can't say it because, they have a particular thing that they have to keep up, or they believe. Now, whether I think that's true or not, that's a totally different story. But the point is that they have their way of thinking that this has to go in order for them to be able to maintain a career and what it is they do. And thankfully, I've been blessed enough to, I'm hard-headed by anyway, so I couldn't do that anyway. But more importantly, it doesn't impact anything. Like I'm going to say something that's going to offend someone, or I'm going to say something that someone's going to disagree with inevitably that follows me. And that's just expected because I've been doing it from the get-go.
Yeah. That's crazy because I don't know. It's weird for me. I feel like I come from a different world because I played professional sports. My entire life has been professional, and involved around football. And football provides you a unique perspective on the world because, truth be told, I did not actually operate in a synchronized way with the real world until I retired from football. It's kind of hard to explain it to people sometimes, but athletes, especially when you're on a professional level, you're in a kind of bubble. Like I think a lot of people who, and it's becoming a little bit more evident when you see videos on YouTube, guys like you, Jeremy, people talk about a lot of the issues that athletes, because athletes are kind of entering the social sphere when, for the longest before you have one or two who make comments, but for the general sentiment stays in the sphere of the sports world. So, those were days that are long past, but, I retired 2014, 2015 after 2014, 2015 season. And, coming into this world was much different than the world I was living in as an athlete. Everything around us is controlled, very routine, very, machine-like as a professional athlete. I wake up at 6 a.m. I go into the stadium, I'm there till, 7 o'clock at night. I go home, eat dinner, play games, watch a movie, go to sleep, rinse and repeat, so on and so forth. And that's on one end. On the other end, when in those short spurts after the season ends, when you're able to just kind of do whatever you want, I'm a millionaire. Yeah. So I'm not doing anything that's like regular. I'm gone. I'm out of the country as soon as the season's over with. I'm gone. That was every year for me in my career. I've been all over the world. So because I as soon as the season ends, if we're not in the playoffs, usually right after the Super Bowl, because it's a football thing. In January, all the football players go to Vegas. If you're not in the playoffs, everybody goes to Vegas. You go to Vegas, you see all the NFL players there. That's just kind of like the unwind after a season. Go gamble, whatever. Come back, you watch the playoffs kind of play out, Super Bowl, then boom. A couple days after Super Bowl, I'm on a flight. I'm out the country. I'll be back in March. So get to see the world and just kind of get to interact in a different way, a way that a lot of people at my age at that time would never be able to interact with the world. So, I feel like coming out of that and retiring, I retired at 30 years old. So retiring out of that and then coming into the world as it is today, there's an adjustment period, truly a very elongated transition from professional athlete to retired and your career is done. you know, and I think a lot of people who are involved in sports know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever made it to that, you know, gotten to any levels where and you've put in work and you've had a ton of time. So with saying all of that, coming into, you know, society and just living, you know, on my day-to-day, doing my day-to-day thing, interacting with people who I, you know, who really I've never probably would have never interacted with in a football life, becoming friends with people who I never would have been friends with in a football life, and being able to kind of get a different different experiences and see different sides of American culture, which is very diverse in and of itself. The one thing that football as something that's competitive and something that is where you kind of get a deeper look into a person's being and how they operate under stress, how they operate when there are eyes on them. You know, I've never felt like I needed to hold my tongue for anybody. I've never held my tongue for a single person.
Yeah.
When it comes to just speaking on things that, you know, how I see things, just because I only know one way to look at myself and to look at the world. And for me, I look at it just from a truthful standpoint, just being real about how I know shit works, because I've had those experiences to know, you know, on that other side of life, where you get to kind of you get to mingle with the kind of people who people only talk about, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I do see their perspectives on things, and I'm able to kind of process and say, okay, so that's how they see people. Like, you know, this is the way they see other perspectives, and like, you know, how you see other people's perspectives on the world. So I can respect when I come around somebody who talks and doesn't fucking hold their tongue, because people who are aware, people who are self-aware, people who are completely confident, and people who are okay with their deficiencies, they don't give a fuck what people say about them. I've never cared what anybody said about me, because I know who I am. I'm comfortable with it. I know it. I accepted it. I went through that process of accepting it after I retired, because even then I didn't truly know myself until I went through that whole transitional phase from being an athlete to being a retired athlete, a retiree. You know, so, you know, you have real conversations with yourself. What do you really fucking believe in? Like, what are you really okay with? And I say that because we've had a couple of conversations on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it's kind of feeling out. I felt like it was a feeling out. You know, the first round of like a boxing match where you kind of shuffle around, couple jabs, but nothing serious, just because we don't know where this is going yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I've always respected how you approach things, because, hey, if nothing else, I want to know what to expect. If nothing else,
for sure.
If nothing else, I want to know he's going to say exactly what he feels like.
Yeah.
He's not going to really mince it. And, you know, there was a couple times on Twitter, we're sitting there and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to mince it either. This shit don't make no sense what you just said.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's like, okay, now we kind of, okay, we're a little bit more comfortable. But no, man, you know, and I say all of that just to say that I appreciate you coming on.
For sure.
And I really do want to have conversations about, like I said, whatever, because I can talk about whatever.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know, I have views on a lot of things.
Yeah,
and they're not all necessarily what a lot of people think. Yeah. A lot of people think that I have certain views, and some of them some people they're right on certain things, and some people no. Like I see things differently, and nothing is there's no uniformity in my perspective. Like there's a lot of nuance, because to me in life there is so much nuance. And that's why when we talked about the system, I was just saying the system is, because it is. It's a linear, non-changing binary product of existence that is there.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like somebody who can who can really understand that. And you said the way you said it, I understood it after I read it a few times. But you said you can when you choose not to be a part of the system, then you don't have to accept something. And I thought about that, and I thought, yeah, you know what, you're right about that, because you have to consciously accept something. That's a conscious action.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why from there I kind of shifted into, well, it's not that you accept, it's just that it is that way. It will be that way.
Yeah.
So,
which in that case, I wouldn't disagree with. Like, yeah, it is, and for perspective, and certainly for the audience, like my position on, and just so we have a frame of reference here, the conversation was generally about this like elections and the viewpoint of it, and my position is always, I mean, you want to talk about elections being quackers, it's something that I've been talking about on the News and Why It Matters today over at Blaze TV. But that's neither here nor there. My issue with this system and why I am philosophically where I'm at, I'm an anarcho-capitalist libertarian, and I look at it. Whether
hold on. Do me a favor. Break that down.
Gotcha.
Break that down for me.
Great question. Well, libertarianism in its like the modern form, not what mutual,
not the summer of love for 1960s original.
The modern form of libertarianism, post Rothbard basically jacking the term and making it what it is today, is definitely as is understood here in the West, and particularly in America, because even in spots of Europe right now, they still associate libertarianism with general, like, straight mute, like near socialism, and that's
Mussolini.
Right. Like, so with what we talk about now, and what I am as a libertarian, believing in starting with private property rights and self-ownership, and meaning that I own myself and therefore I own my body, and all what is considered rights extends from that. Be it I mix my labor with said land, I own the land, or whether I voluntarily exchange this controller with the retailer, it is now mine because I voluntarily exchanged it, and that is a legitimate form of property. Now, again, that core concept starting with private property rights, and we look at the only difference that separates, let's say, more of a minarchist libertarian from an anarcho-capitalist like libertarian, is that the minarchist decides that when he would generally agree that, okay, everything else is best left up to the market, and the government shouldn't, like, for example, the state shouldn't be left to decide, let's say, how people eat, how people dress, what clothes they should wear, or they shouldn't be involved in any of that. The minarchist says, well, they should be involved in defense. This is why I would argue that most libertarians, you can make the argument, are actually minarchist libertarians, in which they believe that, like, for national defense, court systems and stuff like that, the state should at least be in control of that. Whereas I and anarcho-capitalists say that, well, we understand that with food and everything else, that's best left up to the market. Why doesn't that apply to everything else? Or whether it be, why does the state have to monopolize this concept of law? So that's where I'm more so at now. But my issue with more so the, like, how elections work in this, it's not just something that's unique to American culture, American, when we consider constitutionalism and all that, it's not necessarily unique. My issue is that there's this massive geographical area, certainly at the federal level. I have less of a problem with it if it's stuck to the local level, but certainly at the federal level, where you have this massive geographical area that hovers over 50 large territories. And then, they obviously rule over those said territories, and every 2 to 4 years, they force some election upon everybody, and those results have consequences. And not all, I mean, I would say often those consequences are not good. Doesn't matter if someone's blue or red, that's in there. That's generally how it is, because of what the system entails and how much power they actually have. So my issue with it's like going back to what's going on now and what I particularly, for example, and what you were saying, and I was like, well, elections I reject, and it's not in a corny leftist like, okay, well,
it's not standing on the top of the steps with your fists in the air.
Like, no, none of that. Like, it's none of that. Like, it's more of, okay, I recognize that even if they did, it would still be a problem. If it was someone I liked that would enforce what I personally desired, it would still be I would still have a fundamental issue with it, because that is being forced on this large body of people. And this is why I believe in the nature of it. It's moving far and far closer to like more so this absolute state socialism. I was grilling the Republicans, for example, on News and Why Matters today, yesterday, when all this happened, because they have, if they supposedly have been the party of liberty, the party that cares so much about freedom and prosperity, and they for decades have done either nothing to stop what is going to be more of absolute state socialism, or they've been completely complicit. I've talked about Reagan and his position on guns, which was atrocious, and going forward, how each year it gets progressively, for lack of better terms, worse in terms of us moving away from freedom for the individual and more towards decentralized power. And this is why I have so much issues with elections and how they exist. It's less about
but if you're looking at it from that standpoint, the federal government has not really gained any expansion of power really since 2001, 2002. Federal government has been quite minuscule in how it decides policy for the country moving forward. And I look at it personally. I've never been a big government person. I feel like my general experience has always been with the state, on a state level to begin with. I mean, I got CPA, they do my taxes. I'm not so concerned. Well, I won't say that. I'll say that I've never been so concerned with federally what the government does in regards to its oversight and regulation and taxation until I became a business owner. When I became a business owner back in 2011, that was my first taste of really, seeing the government, how the cogs in the wheel operate within the government. And, I would say even at this point in 2011, I'm what? 20, what? I got drafted 2007, 23. I'm 27 at this point. 27. I would say at that point, I still was not certain. I wasn't really aware of what my true political leanings were, like my true perspective on it was, until I started becoming a business owner. Then that started to mold my perspective on what how the government's involved in my daily life, how the government's involved in my quarterly life, how the government's involved in my yearly life, and how much they touch when it comes to my income. And look, I will be the first one to tell anybody who, I loved Obama. On a personal level, I loved Obama. But I'll tell you what, I'm sitting in the fucking locker room on Thursday afternoon looking at my game check in 2009, 2008. No, 2009. No, this was after, this was after the ACA got passed. So this is like 2010. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's not just me. It's all the brothers in the locker room. We all are sitting there like, God damn, Obama. Like, that was my first experience with seeing what the federal government does in terms of, tax withholdings. Mm-hmm. That was my first time really paying attention to it. This is 4 years into my career as a pro athlete. Now I'm paying attention to the fact that I'm getting taxed 39% income, 4% Medicare for Obamacare, which means each game check that I get loses 43% of its total value back to the government. which, you know, for me was a shock because I'm thinking to myself, 43%, half.
Yeah.
So that goes to show that, you know, for people who have experience with and who are affected directly by policies of the federal government, just because we're black does not mean that we gave Obama a pass on taxing the shit out of us for making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, on one end of that, which I think plays into part of how I identify myself mainly as a libertarian, is that from on the social side, I've also seen how people were struggling to get by at that time. I also seen how people were struggling from 2008 to 2012. I wasn't struggling. I was fortunate. I was lucky. By the grace of my genetic talents, I was lucky. And for me, I could understand. That was the part of my psyche that understood, you know what? It's 43%, but you're still getting 6. You know, you're still looking at a really good check. I can't complain, and I can understand it. They're trying to do something new. They're trying to change the healthcare system in a way to help those who are less fortunate. I can understand that, and I can bite the bullet on it and still have respect for what the ideals behind it are. You know, and that's where people will say, well, if you don't like being taxed and you complain about being taxed, why are you okay with them taxing? I don't like taxes, but I understand how they are useful on a much more local level. And at the same end on that, as a business owner, I don't want them touching a dime. I don't want to pay nothing. I don't want to pay nothing because I've seen how much they tax. And you know, I talk, you know, I have plenty of friends or plenty of other business owners that I'm friends with that I've talked to about it before. We've talked and we'll both be in agreement. It's like this is the part of the Democratic perspective that I can't fuck with. That I have to pay 4 different taxes as a business owner in the city of Atlanta, and then I pay the state, and then I pay the federal. So I'm paying. I mean, dude, I remember when me and my business partner actually went through one of a couple of weeks of our P&R or P&L reports, and it was like the government gets 13%, city of Atlanta gets 6%, Fulton County gets 7%, no 4%, state of Georgia gets 7%. I'm like, God damn, we come out with our profits getting cut down to about 3.5%. We got about of all the money that we had in profit, we only had 3.5% left. And that's from a lot of regulating, a lot of over-regulation, a lot of guardrails that they put up that maybe it was okay to have it there at some point, but we've moved past that, and you don't need them guardrails no more. You can deregulate that. You can roll that back and let people get more money back. Atlanta has that problem. That has been a problem in Atlanta with how they tax, because they have so many. But at the same time, there's so many ways to get around it. There are so many ways to get around it. Now you can only get around it so much, but there are, but you can play the game a little bit and beat them on some of it. But I think that there's just been a problem. I think there's just a problem in this country right now with finding balance. It doesn't have to be one way or another. Now, as me, in my perspective, I'm flexible. I'm flexible because I can be, and I'm flexible because I feel like when all ships are rising, it don't matter. Everybody's getting money. Sometimes it's just how fast. Are you getting it fast enough, or are you getting it, or is it, or is it coming slow? If it's coming too slow, open the storm drains up for cats a little bit so they can get some more. You know what I mean? But from a structural standpoint, I think that the federal government I think the federal government is. I think the parameters have already been set on what they're going to touch. There are certain spots that they won't go. There's certain things that they don't overreach on because they've lost that battle too many times. You know, there's either statistics behind it that show that, you know, it doesn't really work. You have a lot of money that gets wasted, and some, you know, and a lot of times that does deal with localized programs, localized social services that the government sets. You know, it sets these little parameters and it lets the states run with it. But the system is going to be there as far as elections go. I don't think that elections are forced on people because you don't have to vote. It's your right. Nobody can stop you, but you don't have to. But when you give a little, you know, you get a little. You don't have to do it. And, you know, when you do, you get something back potentially. But if you don't have really a say in the matter. At the end of the day, participation is your only is the value that you bring to the table. If you don't want to have it, that's fine. It's totally your choice. But you can't say that you're being that you can't say that you are aggressed because you never participated. You can't be aggressed.
Well, the reason why I would disagree with that wholeheartedly is because I'm still forced to deal with the situation. Every year, it is expected by the federal government, depending on how much I make, that I give them a certain portion, be it to Social Security, be it to whatever nonsensical laws that I said I don't want. I know it is, but that's what I'm saying. It's wrong because I don't want that. That is forced upon me. It is expected upon me, and it continues to be spent. When we talk about the value of the money that they, of course, monopolized, is being devalued because they continue to deficit spend what the government's spending. And this is why I would disagree with the instance of them like not growing. They absolutely have grown. They grow in their spending. With this particular presidency, we've seen the deficit skyrocket
in the party of fiscal responsibility.
We've seen the debt continue to go up. So it's not like they are moving in the opposite direction. It's not that they like as if they actually either are expecting less. So either they're going to take it from me, the same amount that they've been taken away, or they're going to take it in the form of a, you know, inflation, essentially with it being taken down the road because they're able to monetize their debt. And this is why I always talk about them selling off assets of the unborn, because that's what the Federal Reserve and in combination with the Treasury, that's exactly what it allows them to do. That's why they can deficit spend in the first place. So when I talk about it being aggressed upon, that money is still expected of me. If I don't pay it, which I've dealt with, in the event that they expect me to not pay it, they will send goons to come confiscate it. They will send goons to come kick down your door in the event that you decide that you won't want to pay it. I don't have a say in that, even though I don't want it. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, or anybody says for that are libertarians, like this is something that is forced upon you. I don't even want it. And the things that they do have, I want them to be left up to the market so I can pick and choose what it is that I would rather my money go to.
You're talking about taxation right now.
Yes, that's what I'm specifically talking about with taxation. So
taxation, inflation.
Yes.
You know, just fractional margins that with the Fed Reserve that really kind of manipulate the value of our money.
Yes. And that's something that I have a particular, obviously a specific issue. This is why I have no issue with them calling them criminals, and I call the Capitol building where they all house is sort of den of thieves, right? Den of criminals. But my issue with that and like how election cycles work, because it's not just anything that's at the federal level, it's at the local level as well, because generally they hold theirs around the same time anyway.
The local level is where it's going to affect you.
Well,
like,
yeah, well, it's gonna
on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, well, it's going to impact me the most. I wouldn't say that it doesn't affect the other things that they do, because again, the government is still. I don't even get taxed by way of income by the state that I live in.
I mean, you're in Texas, dude.
Yes, I'm in Texas. The people that are taking
I was born and raised in Texas.
Right.
I know you ain't getting no income tax there.
Exactly. So
Florida was the same way when I was in Jacksonville.
Exactly. So I'm getting most of my money from as far as the income. Not property or anything like that, but from the income is coming from them. And I don't want them doing what it is that they do. I don't want them sending money overseas. I don't want them spending money to bomb hospitals. I don't want them to do
Hold
that
on.
with
So
my
when
money.
you
That's
say
not
spending
anything
money
I want.
overseas, you mean aid.
Aid, wars, foreign wars.
Hold on. Now, there's a difference between aid and wars.
I know. I don't want my money going to either of
You
them.
don't want your money going to aid, but this is a
I don't want
global
it going to
economy we're
wars
talking
either.
about. This is a global economy. That's not going to ever change. So that's part of America's bargaining chips, is that we give you aid, we put bases on your land, thus expanding our empire.
And I don't want any of that. I don't want my money going to any of that. That's the point that I'm making. This is why we call taxation theft by way of extortion. I don't want to give them money for that, yet they are still going to take it. They're expected to have it, and in the event that I don't, they will punish me. And they're still going to spend money.
Well, that's the autonomy of federal government that allows for you to have autonomy in your regular life.
No, I wouldn't say they allow anything.
It's what gives. Okay, so I won't say it allows, but it makes it possible for you to be autonomous. Our vehicles, our products, our imports, everything in our day.
None of that has to go through them. None of that.
It's all set up with trade deals. It's set up with.
It doesn't have to be. It just is.
With corporations being able to export or being able to export their product, create their product in another country. Like, it is the globalist economic system. Everything flows through everything. That's part of the game. That's something.
That's what it is. It doesn't have to be any of their control. That's my problem. Again, it's not that I don't have an issue having trade. Well, I love trade. I mean, free trade. This is something that we're an advocate of. I don't need them making deals with me or with other or on my behalf or anything like that. If I want to
with the taxpayers' money.
Yes, I don't want them to be bargaining with that. That's a decision that I feel like I should be able to make with whoever is sending the product, and I pay for it to get shipped here. They pay for it.
How do you think you can have control in that as an individual?
Well, my thing is that right now it's set up to where the government is, for whatever reason, negotiating deals with other countries in which that middleman should not have to be there. Now, how exactly is that going to be done? Minus them, it could be, again, shipping company, ships to and fro, whatever's on the other side of the pond. Company that I want product from pays X company to ship it to me. They go over here. That company may work with a trucking company. I don't know. That trucking company, though, that goes off the ship gets on a trucking company and it gets delivered to me. Why do I need the state, or when I'm talking about a state, state and federal government?
The state put the trade deal in place that made it possible for every one of those companies to operate with one another.
No, that's not what happened. What they did was claim monopoly on this entire geographical area, and then they go claim and negotiate on everybody's behalf. That's what happened. It's not like
talking about you talking about the United States landmass.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That big territorial monopoly that they claimed, albeit illegitimately, however you want to say it, they claimed it, and they
pick one,
and they are the
natural selection one in that one. You know,
right? But they're negotiating on behalf of me or any other individual for that matter, and I don't want that. This is why I'm always talking about.
How do you? And I'm going to ask it again. How do you take control of that?
Are you asking me, like, in the event that they don't do it? Or are you saying, like, how do I take control of it with them still having power?
You vote.
Well, no.
Just because at the end of the day, power is exchanged, correct? We agree to that. Power is exchanged in elections. Power.
I think power exists.
Power in the executive level. The biggest strength it has is in foreign policy. The biggest strength it has is in foreign trade. The biggest strength it has is in moving chess pieces around the globe, not locally, not on a federal level locally, but on the globe. That's what the executive branch is really there for, to handle the global operation and business interests of the United States with other countries.
Which isn't even a thing, by the way. That's no such thing. It sounds good. But
what sounds good?
My own neighbor don't necessarily agree on what it is that we may be where it is that we're at economically or philosophically. This is all bull crap. This is why elections in itself are bull crap. There's no such thing as, let's say, the will of the people. That's not a thing. All it is that you illegitimately claim that power. You had and you allowed people to vote, people to fill those positions.
People got to choose. Look.
Well, no, I get the choose, fathers said that it doesn't matter if I choose or not. They're still going to have the power. I don't want them to have the power at all. That's what I'm arguing. I don't want them to have the power at all. But it doesn't matter. Who has the power? The state has the power. The federal government, whether it be the federal government,
can never be. The state can never have certain oversights over the federal level of power.
Well, no, when I'm talking about the state, I'm talking about like a territorial monopoly on use of force, violence, and ultimate decision making. The federal government is a state. Texas government is a state.
Yeah, there's a state for Texas. There's a state department for every state in the union.
Right. That's more so what I'm referring to. But this,
so you want the state to be able to manipulate, to be able to deal more with its own. Okay, so just so I'm understanding, you want this. You feel like the state is more equipped to handle the concerns of, I guess, import, export, international. Mediation in its own deals. Is that what you think?
I think that it.
Like you think the state of Texas could do its own business with Germany or
absolutely 100%. We see it right now done with states that are small. They
do that. They do that though. The states do that. They do.
No, what I'm saying is that there's no reason why the federal government needs to exist to facilitate that. And when I talk about decentralization, I'm talking about momentous. So in the event that, let's say, the whole entire federal government dissolved or something like that, and all the 50 states that were formerly within it become actual nation states, even if they did set up a mutual defense.
It's impossible.
I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that's actually I think that's actually the most realistic.
People talk about issues of succession and issues of nation states amongst within United States shores. Constitutionally, it is impossible.
Well, that Constitution don't mean anything because
if people want to toss it aside, you can make it.
I don't care. Like you've never heard me make an argument bad way with the Constitution or how I've already said that the federal government is illegitimate. Hell, I was talking about today why the Articles of Confederation was the preferable document to the Constitution.
Read those? Have you read those?
Absolutely. I would much rather.
Get the fuck out of here.
Again,
that shit is meant that shit just perpetrated that just perpetrated like specifically the slave culture. It completely backed that up.
That's like I said, I'm talking about the setup of the state in which, and again, you still got slavery.
Yeah, they gave the states utter complete autonomy. Like
and that's what I want. I would much rather have that now than what we have right now. I don't want to sit up here and have to share a government with people basically in California, DC, or people that are completely culturally New York different from where it is that I'm at. It's more easier, certainly, for me to combat, let's say, the Texas government as opposed to the federal government. Like it would be more easier to combat the federal government as opposed to, let's say, the United Nations or something like that. You see, my issue here is that there's this mass land, and you're seeing right now more than ever that culturally we're not moving this way, it's moving the opposite way. Culturally, you're seeing people that are incompatible, and I'm not one of those guys that are
kumbaya. I always ask is why, because it's never going to be kumbaya. But I'll tell you one thing, and I think I can speak to this more than a lot of people in this country can. And people who have been involved in, and again, and it's crazy that I go back to this, but I've found it to ring true, and I found it to ring true every time I get in situations where there are conversations about the state of people in this country. The team sport culture, and in particular football, is the greatest team sport on the earth, because not only does it stand on the premise of no one man is greater than the goal of the team. It forces each person to take accountability for their actions. It forces each person to adhere to the etiquette of responsibility, that one man is responsible for one job, and that job is entrusted to you, and you will not be walked through how to be responsible with it. You have to take the initiative in recognizing what you need to do to prepare yourself each and every week to do your job. And you have people who trust you. You have people who rely on you. You have people whose livelihoods depend on you. And there's a slight sprinkle of military culture in football on a professional level, because there is consequences for every action, whether it be good or bad. But it's all on a fair, well, I don't know about the military, but in football, it comes from a level, or it comes from a perspective of your performance speaks more about who you are than than anything that you can tell me about how you like to operate, how you like to do things. Like me, I will be in direct competition with somebody else for a job. The people who win their jobs will be on the field by themselves with no one watching over them to run plays and execute things. You know, if you're late to a meeting, you get fined. You can fine like $5,000. You're late to a meeting. You late again. You're late to a practice. That's like $40,000. Like, you are held to account for everything you do. And the only way to move forward is to the only way you can move forward is to work together, is to recognize the goal that's greater than yourself and the aspirations that the team has, and submit your ego, leave your ego at the door, and work towards that goal with the men you're in that room with. And with a lot of things that I see in society, a lot of things that I've seen in society today, you know, it really was amazing to me how little people understand what teamwork really means, what it entails to really compromise for the betterment of other people. People in this society in America do not understand that. People in this society are very selfish. People in this society don't even understand the concept of being a team player. They don't. And it is unbelievable to me how completely lacking people in this country are of understanding how to recognize the situation for what it is, and to understand the gravitas of which it needs to be dealt with, and to put your personal desires to the side for one moment and work together. It's almost disgusting to me, because I've seen another culture in this world that is the exact opposite. And it is unbelievable that in this country, people are so hung up on what is a left thing or what is a right thing, they can't even see what is the good thing to do. What is the American thing to do? It used to be about teamwork in this country. It's not. But coming from that teamwork environment that I've been in my entire life, I understand it like the back of my hand. That's why in the football locker room, there is no such thing as racism. There isn't. Your race, the teamwork aspect of football on that level transcends race. You hear about all this shit, yeah, and racism, right? And racism, yada, yada, yada. But it don't exist in our locker rooms. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. In that locker room with those 53 men, it don't exist. Because that's not what matters. The goal is what matters. What we're trying to get accomplished, that's what matters. The best man up does the job. And the next man up, be ready to do the job. And that's what to me has been so disheartening, because I know that there have been days in my career where I wanted to blame people for why something was happening in my world. I wanted to blame people because I was like, this is some bullshit. Like, I know I'm doing my job. Where the fuck is this motherfucker? Why ain't he doing his job? But to do that only erodes at the foundations of the pyramid that we're trying to build, a pyramid of competitive greatness. And in this country, that's why, and you know, there are going to be people who don't want to hear this. And real quick, Jeremy, D-Day Cobra, $20 super chat says Uche and I yell at each other all day. Have fun, Ripper. To preface what I'm about to say, because I know if he hears this, I'll be getting a message soon. That's why I call Donald Trump a coward. That's why I call him a coward. That's why I say anybody who asks me, I will never tell people if they don't ask. But if they ask me, what is my opinion personally on Donald Trump? That is the only thing that I can describe him as. He is a coward because I've seen that. I've seen that before. I've seen it 100 times. When your mettle is put to the test, your true character comes out. It never fails. Pressure breaks pipes or creates diamonds. Donald Trump is a coward because he does cowardly things. Leaders don't do that. They don't. I've seen too many of them. That's why I don't care I don't care what his policies did to enrich me, because they did. They got me. They got more money in my pocket. But I don't give a fuck when you can't be a leader. I don't care. You can't be my leader if that's how you're going to handle situations. You can't. I will not accept it because I've been around real men, and they don't act like that. I've been around real men who have been in real situations. I know some who put their life on the line. And I'm not even saying I've really been in I'm a football player, but I've been in that environment where leadership is called upon and leadership either answers or it doesn't. And he does not answer. To think that is what a tough man is lunacy if you know what a real leader is. That's why I could never, that's the only time I get amped up about Trump. It was when somebody tries to call him a leader. He looks out for the people. Are you fucking kidding me? How many people has he gone and how many homeless people has he fed in his entire time as president? How many shelters has he visited? How many kids has he taken and taken their families to get Christmas gifts when knowing that these folks can't afford to get nothing? Like, I threw tournaments. I had video game tournaments in Jacksonville every Tuesday. On my day off, I held little video game tournaments for kids to come and play in. They play against me and my teammates at a sports grill, and we would raise money. And I worked with the orphanage to raise this money. Worked with the orphanage to raise that. Like, we raised probably about $30,000 in the first 2 months of the campaign on video game tournaments. GameStop came, got involved, sponsored it, provided all the Xboxes, all the PlayStations, and all of the work that we did, it went to these kids who had never had family in their life, but were just trying to get themselves in a position to have jobs. They were meeting with people and going and doing temp work and this and that. And, this money went towards a vehicle that they could ride in. This money went towards clothes that they could wear. And, it helped to enrich their lives just that little bit. I don't know. I can't know where they are now, but, I'm not saying that I'm some great leader. I'm just saying that I know what leadership looks like. I know what taking the initiative to help people from a genuine place in your heart looks like. He's never had that on as a characteristic his entire time as a president. So there's no way that I could look at that and agree with it. But again, all things being said, did I make more money with him as president? Sure. But how much does that matter to me? Not that much. I can make money anywhere I go. I can make money doing whatever I want because that's me. I'm going to do that. I don't need him to do that. That's because I've been through, I understand what it means to grind, to make something, to make something for yourself. You do too. Shit. I seen your videos. I know you know. That motherfucker is not a leader. And the fact that he caused the kind of chaos he's caused in the last 24 hours, anyone who doesn't at least look at that and say, you know what, a bridge too far. Hey, I don't know what to say. Whether you feel one way about the election or not is irrelevant, because right now it's about how do we as a people in a society move forward. And that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but we got to, goddammit. We got to stop all the bullshit. We got to at least get to a place of etiquette again, etiquette of some kind of manners amongst each other, just so that we don't end up killing each other.
Yeah. My thing though, and this is where I deviate from that, is that I don't give a shit about Donald Trump leadership. See, my issue is that a lot of folks put too much power into that, and that's been my argument this whole entire time. Much why I don't give a shit about Congress, the house of the actual criminals, having tables and shit flipped over. As far as I'm concerned, they should be tarred and feathered. They are true criminals. My thing though, and why I don't even give a shit about the Trump thing, because I think Trump is a symptom of what we have, and where I differ from everybody else is that not everybody else, but a lot of people on this, is that I have no desire to share governments with people that hate each other. That's what creates the conflict. I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, we look at the Trump fans and the people that he supports, and they're culturally so different. Yeah, they're culturally different. My issue is why in the hell, considering that's growing. Now I get it. I get it, where for some folks are like, they want some sort of normalcy, right? And I can completely empathize with that. My thing, though, however, is why I don't have much of a problem with it is that this is why one of the great quotes I always say is, racism without statism is nothing more than a bad idea. Why I don't give a shit about Joe Blow's lawnmowers not wanting to sell to me because I'm black. Why I don't care about that? Because that means nothing. Joe Blow's mower, or Joe Blow himself decides to get a position in Congress, or decides to become a state legislator, then
now it means something.
Right now, so then it's a problem. So why I preach so much about decentralization is because, all right, we recognize that there's a growing divide, and I think it's less about Trump. You can argue that he fueled some of that, but some of that divide right now, when you consider
some of it was there from Obama, some of it was there from Obama.
So it's a divide that continued to grow. Mm-hmm. I'm less about trying to get everybody, like that person on that side or that group of people on that side and this people here, and trying to mesh them together. I'm not, and I get, look, people that are trying to do that, more power to you. However, I am of the opinion that, okay, you guys hate each other. Great. Why on earth are we having these institutions that exist that are so powerful, in which the wrong person gets it
and then fuck the whole shit up
and it blows up? See, that's my problem, and why I preach so much about decentralization, because a lot of folks, unfortunately, conflate what it is that I advocate with like hating someone else. So it's like hate someone. So it's like, no. I recognize among my regular life, and I know you can empathize with this, with you being a former athlete, where it's like there are certain people that you do whatever with professionally, mm-hmm. but you might not when it comes to outside of.
Bro, I never see him. Bingo. Never kick it with him.
You might not kick it with them or anything. I don't
like them because they're not my speed of they're not my
bingo.
Speed. You know what I mean?
Bingo, right? And that's one of those. And you relate to you emphasize. You can understand that being an athlete, because I think that's where again, me growing up, I didn't go to the professional level, but all the way through the collegiate level, I was a track and field athlete. So I understand that there were certain guys that were. I would kick it with outside, and then there were other guys where it's like, okay, I'll go right here. We got to run this 4x1 relay, so we need to make sure our handoffs are right, and we need to make sure all that crisp and clean, because we want to make sure that we perform at our best, especially if it was like a conference USA meet or whatever. So, but my thing is that like we can be cordial. I think that's why I'm trying to patch it. It's less about trying to force these guys to share a government, and more like, okay, there's nothing wrong with us recognizing that there are certain differences. There may be some place where we align right there, and we can discuss it. We can be in that space and subculturally and kick it. But there's other instances where I'm like, okay, you and we're just simply not compatible.
We ain't the same. We ain't the same.
That's not a crime. That to me is not a crime in itself. And that's what I
think that there are, and where this is where I get pissed at people on the left. Because I know, because I float to both sides. I float to both sides all the time.
Yeah.
But people on the left, that's where I get pissed at them, is that they feel like it's not okay for somebody to feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
For somebody to not know a certain perspective on something that they know, and then judge them by that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I live in Atlanta. I don't know too much about what the fuck's going on in Washington State.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I go there and I'm kicking it, if I say something that offends somebody, I mean, it's probably more on a cultural level of this area that I'm in than me really feeling like, oh, I don't respect these kind of people.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that's where people on the left, they go too fucking far. Stop being offended. Stop not understanding that your perspective is not the only perspective.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing for people to understand, right? That's the hardest people for a lot of people to understand is that there's cultural differences, people like, and that was a great example that you use in being where you're at. And I can speak to that in Texas and being from from up south. I'm from Oak Cliff, Texas. You know what I'm saying? So
Oak Cliff?
Yes, I'm from South Dallas.
From South Dallas, guys.
Yeah, so
Pleasant Grove.
Grove size. You Grove size, right? So being where I'm from, and then like right out of college, I went to the University of Memphis. Right. Okay, so I'll go to Memphis. It's similar, but it's a different culture, right? It's a different culture. And there are ways that they go about things like existing, obviously, like outside of the campus, because I would go kicking and stuff. And I know Orange Mountain,
counties, and then motherfucking campus.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, y'all are different. And sometimes it's hard to even wrap your mind around it because you're like, your perspective is your perspective. And sometimes it's not even for you to understand. And that was one of my maturations as an adult and growing up, definitely philosophically. One of the things that I had to learn to understand was that there are it's okay to not understand something. Like it's not the problem is a lot of folks don't want to concede that. So it's like the lack of understanding they think that it comes with itself of like beef. So it's like, you're not like me, therefore you're wrong. And sometimes that can be true. Like if they're actually advocating something that's objectively bad, like murder or something, I think we can all agree that that's not a good thing, right? Like sometimes it's just some like cultural difference. Some people have different preferences, and that's not necessarily a wrong thing. We can shoot the shit, we can agree, we can disagree. But where we're at now is that, okay, this person is like that culturally, therefore they are wrong. And this all leads to the concept of why I advocate so much for decentralization, and why I think especially now it's been most responsive. I've had these two massive streams over the course of the last days because of what's going on out there that happened at the Capitol and all of that. Because it's like, look, I don't think that you should have to hate your neighbor or anything. My issue is that you're seeing something is wrong here, because rightfully, you can even make the argument that rightfully you're freaking out in the event that someone that you don't want or that may advocate for something different gets the position of power. So I'm like, how can I reel that in and get you to understand that there's something wrong with that right there. And to be fair, I was having the same conversation in 2018 with leftists, especially after that election cycle, where I was like, okay, you recognize that something's wrong here. How can we channel that energy to something else of a different focus? Because I don't think that this is why my argument is that when it comes to decentralization, and I don't how that comes in the form, I don't know, secessionism, and the secessionism, I don't think that necessarily has to mean.
I feel like states' rights is decentralization. I feel like that's in place. Yeah. It's just how much power does that hold? Compare how much autonomy. I mean, but if you think about it, every state is pretty autonomous. Every state has its own infrastructure, its own complete. A process of handling its own affairs without the federal government.
Which is completely true. The problem, though, is that mammoth of a federal government, and we look at the fact that these guys would be senators or House of Representatives, either or, are sitting here making decisions, be it in legislation and how to spend your money and all of that. And a lot of folks are having issues with it. Definitely when it comes in conflict with a lot of people's profession. You can relate to this, and this is why the immigration thing is so big for people out here in Texas, because of, you know,
it affects y'all's money, it affects y'all's bread.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a big conversation. And it's being handled. Some of it's being handled at the state level. A lot of it's being handled at the national, more so the federal level. So
I mean, yeah, I think that's got to be federal because it's a border with another country.
Right, but and that's in itself is what I'm talking about on why this is creating so much conflict. When you have that institution sitting here dictating, definitely when you're dealing with people's money, taxing them as much as they do, definitely in Texas, consider we don't have income tax. So of course people are like lightning focused over there. But I'm less about like, I would much rather them not be a thing as whether it be the federal government or decentralized. And again, that may come in the form of 4 different states breaking up. Look, I don't know exactly what the decentralization is. I just say it's preferable to now, because I could make the argument that in the direction that we're going now, this is post-Trump. We can, because we're over this in 13 days or so. We're over this shit. That doesn't change the path that we're on. And I would make the argument that we're heading towards a path of more bloodshed in the event that we keep this up. And this is why I think that at some point we have to concede, or people have to concede, that there's something fundamentally wrong. And to your point that you made earlier, which I thought was a decent point, you talked about regulation, and you talked about, well, maybe this made sense at this point, but it doesn't necessarily make sense now. I think that can be said at a lot of in a lot of different aspects when it comes to forms of government, that we're in a different time, definitely a technological age where information spreads so fast. This spreads unlike anything we've ever seen in modern history, where you can just have a device even in your hand and you could be soaked with so much information, right? Almost too much
tip of your fingers, too much information.
Yeah,
clearly.
Exactly. So my thing is that I want to try to, and this is the libertarian in me, believe it or not, I want to try to limit the conflict, right? And I just
because eventually the conflict's gonna fuck with our lives.
It's gonna come at my doorstep, right? So I want to try to limit the conflict. The argument that I've been making, I've been making it for years. People, so it's funny. Someone asked me this yesterday, and it was like, because I was talking about like decentralization and we was talking about secessionism, and I guess this guy thought wrongfully so that like I was some Trump supporter. And he was like, "Were you saying this before Trump or while and anything like that?" And I don't think he was asking that to be an asshole. I think he was just genuinely confused.
He was curious,
and I was like, yeah, he was just certainly curious. It's like, dude, 2013, my first band, Five from the Gods, is a song called Secede. Second album of Backwards band, second song on Backwards' album, our song called Individualism. I say the only way to succeed is to see. This is something that I genuinely believe in, because I see this ever-growing conflict that I don't like, and I don't think it has to exist. I think we're all going through the motions of what's been the precedent, more so, that's being set. And
you're saying. And my bad. Go ahead, finish.
No. I think you go ahead and ask a question.
I was gonna say, so you personally are in favor of secession.
Yes, and again, I want to be clear on that.
So that means that the experiment has failed in your eyes. That's
absolutely. But I want to, just to be a little more clear on that, when I talk secession, I'm not meaning simply or just, because it may come in that form. It may be.
I mean, nigga, we from Texas. That's one of our bragging points.
Yes, exactly. That's a realistic thing that may definitely with us being, any of really definitely the coastal spots. Big body.
We got our own damn ports. It takes 3 days to get across Texas.
So when you comes to like spots like Texas, I think that's a realistic thing. But I don't want to think. I don't want to sit here and act as if that's the only way that it may come, because it may come in a form of like splitting up 4 different, I don't know, states.
May come in Texas, just Texas turning into 4 more states.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to bring it. It may come in the form of Texas splitting up into 4 more states, or California was talking about
California. That could be a northern and southern California, 2 different states.
So it may come more so in that form than simply like an individual like secession. of an individual state. So I can't sit up here and say exactly how it's done. I just personally think, I do think it's an absolutely fair. I mean, it's hard to say.
I can understand that. I can understand what you're saying, just because, you know, I think of like when I went to Japan. Japan's federal government is very their federal government is very kind of at the edge of non-existence. Not to say that they don't operate, because they do operate, and it operates soundly. It's just that the prefectures are so plentiful that they just operate within themselves. Yeah. And the government is just, you know, the cop car that might drive by once a month, just make sure everything's cool, and it's gone again. The prefectures in a lot of areas in Japan are very self-sustaining. They're not. You don't see cops. You don't see. You know, there's not a ton of. They don't even have. Some shops don't even pay federal taxes on their income, because they've been there for a certain amount of time. I mean, but that's a country that's been around for 3,000-4,000 years, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
but we're a young country, dude. We are a young country. A lot of people looking at it from a bigger scale. 240 years. We are relatively newborns in the grander scheme of things. Italy's had 2 revolutions. France has had a revolution. You know, we just been here for the last, you know, really for the last 2 world wars. That's when we came to the stage. But who knows how America moves forward? You know what I mean? Who knows how it evolves, how it morphs as we move forward? Because at the end of the day, I mean, I've always felt like when people come to this city, this is not the same. Atlanta's different. Atlanta is different. It's not.
For sure.
It is not the same as the rest of Georgia. It's not the same as the South and it's really not the same as any of the major cities in the country. Atlanta is truly different. And it's funny. I kind of think of Cyberpunk 2077 a little bit, because Atlanta truly has, like, it's an international hub city. So a lot of international headquarters are in Atlanta. Our downtown skyline looks kind of like, and you know, our times kind of like a night city, because you will find different people everywhere operating and existing in the same spaces, and it's fine. But when you kind of start looking at the local government of Atlanta, it's democratic, no doubt. But I mean, without really, I'm just to be straight up, Atlanta is a fucking entrepreneur's fucking paradise, because you can make money any way you can think it, you can make it. And in a lot of cases in Atlanta, you deal with people in the infrastructure, you deal with people in the system. It's the same thing. You can make money just because everybody wants to just make money. Don't look like you're doing some illegal shit, but you know that it's really a self-sustaining city when it comes to the entrepreneurs here, because everybody has their own little. There are business investment groups in Atlanta that are local business owners who get together. They put their money together, yada yada yada, do this and that. But you know, one of the most successful business owners in the city used to run he used to be part of a valet service. Dude used to run in a valet service. He's from Ethiopia. Yeah. Like, this dude is now like all you gotta do is mention say the initials to his name. Everybody knows who he is in this city. So that's really built from on a local level. So I can understand where you can look at local autonomy and see that a government that there are aspects of local government and local society that can operate for the most part independently from any kind of federal connection. But the problem is that at the end of the day, when the circle comes back to the top, there's still something that has to be paid to the piper. How do you change that? I mean, again,
that's the discussion, right? I mean, because I'm not going to pretend like I have the exact answer to that. You know what I mean? But I just recognize, in my honest opinion, and looking at it, and I've had the blessing of, I think, really giving my perspective in traveling as an athlete. You know, you can relate to that from the collegiate level as a sports guy. and you know, traveling all around the nation and competing against other people, you know, doing like border Olympic stuff, so competing with guys internationally, especially in Mexico, Laredo, doing all of that sort of thing. That was a big time eye opener for me, but also as a band, you know what I mean? Like that was where probably I got most of my travel experience there, and going even throughout the different spots of the country. And just seeing how it's so vastly different, even like that's why we use the term scene, like in music, like that city has a scene, and that in itself is like so different. People like, what's the craziest show you've been to? It's got to be like one of these major cities. I'm like, nah. I remember being on the outskirts of like freaking Indianapolis. That was the wildest thing I've ever been to.
Dude, I went to Purdue, man. I was in college in Indiana. Yeah, that was a different place.
Yes, it's a different spot. And I was like, dude, I remember doing a show. That was the wildest show that I've ever. A spot called like the Hoosier Dome, I think was the name of it.
Okay.
Craziest show that I had ever been to. People climbing the rafters. It was the nuttiest show that we had ever and I think the other band, the bandmates can speak to that. One of the craziest, that was the craziest show that I've experienced. But you can just travel even on one tour and see the vast differences culturally from, and that's to me is an awesome thing. But it also puts perspective on like how different it is there, because when you are living in one area, and I think a lot of people lose perspective. I think I get a lot of that from when I talk to people on like I don't know. I'm pretty sure you know people from like New York City, like. Oh, yeah. People from New York City.
There are people from New York City who ain't never been to the other side of New York City.
Bingo. Like that's all they know. Like that's all they know. Like
they know like 2 blocks and that's it.
And that's it. And
like,
that's
your whole life. Yeah. I'm like, wow.
It's an amazing thing. I think you get that a lot out there, and I'm talking to people that are there, and I'm like, yeah, this is how we do things. You know, it's I'm spread out. I do. It's like, wait a minute, you do this. Like they can't even like conceptualize because that's how they've lived their entire life. They don't know anything else. And I look at that as and I try to apply it to other things. And this is why I am such an advocate of libertarianism, of decentralization when it comes to government, because I look at that like, okay, I might not want to live like that. I don't prefer to live to that. I don't want to even be anywhere near that from my living quarters. But if that's something that it's people in New York, it might sound crazy to me, but it's people in New York City that love damn New York City, man. And they love it.
They love it with their whole heart.
Bingo.
And you'd be like, man, I like it here.
Yeah, it's cool.
I would never live here. I mean, I go to New York, I go to New York other than, 2020, I went one time. That was in January. But generally I go like 3 times a year, just, because I like going to New York for like 2 or 3 days and then come back to Atlanta. But I could never live in New York. I could never in my life live in New York. It's not my kind of city to live in, period. Because I am in my heart, I'm a Southern, I'm from the South. I'm from Texas. They call us, they try to say it's the West, which, okay.
It's the South. It's the South. We the South. Like Pimp C said, it's the pound. You know what I mean? Atlanta, we the South. We the South.
We the South. Worst case, you can say Southwest, but don't call us West. Don't call us West.
No. It's completely different. No, we're not West.
So for me, I kind of want space. I always want space. I want to be able to go upstairs, downstairs, to a kitchen around the corner, to the basement. But in New York, you going upstairs and I got to go upstairs sideways. I'm a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I'm going upstairs sideways like shit. Going into my Airbnb, shit. I gotta throw my bag in first and then get in through the door. I'm like, geez, man. Oh my God. I knew I was in New York. The first time I went to New York, I knew I was in New York. And this was my rookie year in the NFL. I went with a bunch of my teammates on a Monday night. Monday night, and we all flew back Tuesday night. But Monday night, and I knew I was in New York when I went to, I smoked these pipe cigars, Black and Milds. I mean, you know what Black and Milds are.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. I go to get a pack of Blacks, man. A pack of Blacks supposed to be like $5. Man, why I get charged $21 for a pack of Blacks? I was like, oh, what? And, again, like I said, I started to really learn about how intrusive the government is in your funds by the time I was getting closer to 30, you know what I mean? So it really began, the picture came together then, and I think it was the perfect time because that was the only time that I was going to start to, that I would be able to really understand it, you know, because before that, as a young player, as a young athlete, I was in the gaze of, I'm famous, I love this shit, like blah, 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 blah. But as I'm getting older, it's like, you know, 26, 27, I'm like, okay, you know, let me make sure my future is good here. Let me make sure all, you know, I just got a new contract, boom, let me put all this shit away so I can't fuck with it. And let me just live with this right here. But no, if you travel this country is a different. This country could easily be 4 different countries.
Absolutely,
easily.
100%, 100%.
The first time I went to California in my life, dude, I was like, this is a different country.
Yeah,
this is not like the other place I've been at all. Like, and I'm over here kicking, bruh. I'll never forget this shit. This is one of my coldest homies. We went to Purdue together, and you know, when I finished at Purdue after our bowl game, he was like, "Hey man, come with me to come with me to my parents' crib out in Cali." He was from Corona, California. This dude's name was Jeff Benjamin. Jeff Benjamin, first name, Jeff. This dude was, and look, dude, this is America right here. This dude looked like a skinhead. He was completely pale, Irish pale white. You know, you seen the little meme picture of the chick laid out in the sun, and you like spot the Irish girl, and you just see like a white blur. You think it's sunlight, but it's really her. That's how pale this motherfucker was. Freckles and shit. Like he was a ginger, but he was pale as shit. This dude is 6'2", white dude named Jeff Benjamin, looks like a skinhead, sounds like a Mexican, hangs out with nothing but black guys.
Oh man, yeah, it's a different area.
And this dude was the funniest dude. I mean, he passed away, rest in peace. But this dude was the funniest. One of the funniest people I've ever known in my life. I mean, I mimic one of the voices that he made when we were in college. I still mimic it to this day when I'm fucking with people, when I'm in that kind of mood. But I went to California with this guy. This guy, we get to his crib. This dude's dad is Mexican. His mom is white. His best friends are black. You know what I mean? We hop in this dude's 1999 fucking Kia Sentra. I don't know what the fuck it was. And we're riding with his 2 homies. And, you know, we were there for a couple days. And it was my first time ever in California. And it was just, it felt different. It felt like I was in a different world. Like, things were different.
It's like, and people that have had the luxury, not everybody has had that luxury. Their profession doesn't allow it. The economic situation doesn't allow it, or whatever. But yeah, that was one of the more eye-opening things from a cultural standpoint, and going to those areas, California included. I remember, you know, I got family. One of my uncles, who's rich, ironically enough, it lives in California. And you know, seeing him and going out there, I used to go out there. I haven't been out there recently to see him, but one of the more recent spots, he was in a different spot. But I was in Inglewood because I was cool with, you know, the Cali Swag District guys that did teach me how to Dougie shit.
You got to pass.
Yeah. So I go to Inglewood, right? And you know, it's nothing. I'm from Oak Cliff. You know, we grew up fucking throwing up beads,
you already know
all that shit like that. That's what I grew up doing. I grew up doing all that. So, but to see like even how they handle that was just different.
It was some real life fucking it was some real deal Holyfield.
Yeah, it was just different. And I was
saying nothing over here. Just be quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like different. I was like, all right, man, like that's not again how you know Dallas, or South Dallas, you know, we don't handle it.
South Dallas, like people who are meeting each other for the first time, there's that.
Yeah, it's a dap, you know what I mean?
And that dap, you know, you meet for the first time in Cali, they like,
they try to size you up and shit. And it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like, wait,
homie.
Yeah, like that's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was when I was Eagle, and I'm sitting there like, you know what I mean? And they know how I am, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is, you know what I mean? They're like, nah, this is just, you know, that's just
how they started out. You know what I mean? That's their vibe.
That's how. So I'm like, all right, well, shit, all right, whatever. But you know, being able to travel and see things like that kind of gave me a more of a perspective when it came to government, especially because I'm looking at it like, wow, there's a lot of different people and how vastly different a lot of these areas are. And I think that's what you're seeing right now with the federal government, and now why there's always so much talk. Definitely recently, it used to not be like this, but definitely recently with the electoral college, right? And how now there's this big ever growing conversation, and I'm like, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. Like, why am I in Alabama? Why would I want to be susceptible to whatever's going on? Because there's so many people in California, why would I want them to be able to rule over if it went to like a pure Democrat?
That was one of the major issues with how to run elections from the outset for the founders. And the founders, you know, and a lot of people don't even understand. A lot of people do not know this. The founders, the electoral college that they came up with, they were like on day 3. They were tired of that shit. They just came up with, said, "Fuck it, just use that one." They said, "Fuck it." Like, people don't know. They really could not all agree because they couldn't agree on how to create a future-proof system, right?
Yeah,
because you didn't have so many states, you didn't have so many, different territories.
True.
So they were trying to create something future-proof, something that worked more by region, worked more in favor of region than just the state.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why they did that was because they knew that even at that point that there were vastly different cultures in different portions of the country. So there had to be a fair balance to what their vote, how their votes cumulatively would be valued, right?
Yeah.
Now it's broken now because we have too many states and we have there's too much to account for.
Yeah.
In a lot of aspects. There's too much. 3 to 5 states in any region of the country can dictate where the election goes. Right now, and for the last, I would say 30 some odd years, it's been you have the Bible Belt and you have the Rust Belt.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the Midwest and you got the South. If you sweep either one, you win. Period. The West, only if you fuck up a couple of states out there like Arizona, can you lose out from that. But generally, the South, which is Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. You can count that. Texas is really Texas, Florida, Georgia. And I guess to a certain extent, North Carolina as well. But those 3 states carry a ton of fucking weight. In the Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Virginia to a certain extent. Those are like heavy hitters. You win those. If you win all 3, if you win all 4, chances are you're going to win.
Yeah.
I think that is where really the issue has become, because now we look at election cycles. Generally, a lot of candidates' focuses go to just certain regions.
Yeah, most definitely.
They don't. There's not a real accounting for the heartbeat of the majority of Americans, for the vibe of the majority of Americans. But because in a lot of cases, especially in the general election cycle, one side of the country is focused. Both sides of the political spectrum are focused on getting the same side of the country.
Yeah,
they're either trying to get the South or they're trying to get the Midwest.
Yeah, true that.
So this was a system that was put in place, and it was put in place with some built-in deficiencies that are now being exploited by both sides. They get exploited. It's just a matter of, can you catch the wave or not?
Yeah.
So when you talk about, I think if you're trying to find a way to kind of to if you're trying to find a way to repair the fabric and repair the divide of the country, I think that's a good place to start, is with the Electoral College. Because now I think that decentralizes a lot innately, because a new system will be more focused on the regions themselves in their own importance that each one has. The West will have more focus on itself. The South, the North, the East, everything is able to then, you're able to build something new that has that at least gives more credence to each region's particular interest without giving one side too much power.
Yeah. I mean, it's we always discuss these different ways and trying to repair like what it is that exists right now. I think what you're seeing when it comes to American government and how people are more so being ruled over, you're seeing the issues that has come about when, from a cultural standpoint, things begin to change. And I think technology.
Shit. Hold on, man. My bad.
Yeah.
Hey, chat. My bad, chat. Damn. When men of great minds are speaking to one another, sometimes everything else is just static noise. We don't pay attention to it. My apologies. My apologies. Let's look at a couple of these super chats. It's not like y'all been flooding them. RC from NYC, what up, brother? Member on the channel. He says, "What's up, Uche? What's up?" He says, "Gris." Oh, he meant to say rips. What's up, chat? Hope everyone is well. Leadership is formed from situations posed to us, not by talking a bad game. And that's a good point. I definitely hear you on that. Drunk 3PO. Drunk 3PO.
Oh, man.
Man, you want to hop in here, drunk? Oh, he said, send him the link. Okay, yeah, drunk. Hop your ass up in here. He says, Uche, my dude. Drunk 3PO is a damn celebrity now, y'all.
Yeah.
For those of y'all who don't know, Drunk 3PO is part of the Geeks and Gamers Network with us. Good dude. He's enjoying some great success right now. It's good to see that. Butter Biscuit 92, what's up, man? He says, read mine from yesterday. Oh, man, look, you're going too deep with me right there. I don't even know how to operate my dang I got to go into the backstage on my YouTube studio to do all that, bro. Yeah, that's gonna take a second. I'm gonna get back to you on that one. We'll get on the NCAA stream. We'll get on that NCAA revamp stream soon enough, and we'll get that in. Let me get real quick, and we will continue here in a second. Let me grab this. Let me throw this link in here for drunk. Yeah. Jump in. In case he wants to jump in, make sure you smashing and dashing on that like button. If you haven't already done so, my man Air July in the house. This dude is just doing his thing right now. I dig it. I dig it all day.
I'm trying. I mean, hey,
let them Blaze cats know they can bring me on anytime. I'll talk some shit.
Sure. I'm trying, man.
All right, Jay. I just sent you that link, Jay. So tell me a little bit about your band, dude. Like, I seen some of your videos, and I mean, y'all motherfuckers was hardcore. What's up?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So the band, backwards for those that don't know.
Well, first let me ask, are y'all still a band?
Yeah, we're still a band. It's just cool. we can't be on the road because it's illegal to be on the road right now. So we're kind of going through these different like things right now where it's this in between stage, because we had putting it bluntly, the first album was goddamn incredible. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the reception that we got, the amount of records that we sold, being able to the top heat seeker albums on Billboard. Like, we were, it was a big deal, right? And I think it's career suicide to put out a sophomoric album and not be able to get on the road. Too much.
Yeah, they're gonna expect a lot.
Yeah, so we gotta come with it. So we kind of been just kind of floating. I'm gonna give people, for those that want the more rap shit, I got a mixtape that I'm gonna drop here in a little bit. I'm actually finishing up this week. Packaging that it's taking a little longer than what I anticipated. Becoming a bit of a perfectionist, which is probably gonna come back to bite me. We'll see. I'm taking more and more time on music than I ever took ever. But I'm gonna give the people that for free.
You dropped a nice little mixtape joint that I heard a couple months back.
Yeah. So a little something. We dropped Brainlit just to give them like a little something. That's gonna be on the record, on the mixtape. So we'll drop that. That'll be free. Everybody can have it. Have a free download on backwardsmusic.com. Y'all can download it, take it. It's yours. So I just want to make sure that you at least have something to hold you off. But the band is, we still kicking. It's just that we can't tour. So we're kind of right now going through this phase where we probably are going to drop some singles at some point. That they probably won't even be on the album, but it'll be something that y'all can listen to. I think that's what we're talking about this month. That me and the band's going to do. So
there you go.
It's tough. It's tough.
Look, man, and this is real talk. Come through Atlanta with your band. I know plenty. I know the biggest ones out here.
Gotcha. Let's do
Drunk
it.
3PO, there he is. We got a Mexican in here now. We solid. Shit. We solid. You can shoot me, you can shoot him, but you can't take out the Mexican dude.
Man, two of my favorite people. What's happening?
What's good, baby? What's good, superstar?
Yeah, life is good, man. Life is good.
Look at that smile on his face. See,
you're killing it, bro.
I got some of that Uche money coming in now. I know what it feels like. It's feeling good, man.
Woo, when you stop looking at price tags, yeah.
Man, and I feeling some of that Eric July YouTube love coming on. Man, it feels good. Now I know what these two superstars feel like, even if it's just for a week.
Hey, man, you've been killing it. Though. Hey, that's where it all starts. It's all about a waterfall effect. You never know how. What you've been doing, for those that haven't been able to see it, man, him being able to definitely getting the Gina, that was big. That had to have been huge for you, man. Like that had to have been
that was nice. That was nice.
Massive, but that's where it all starts.
Having Be Real fucking shout you out. Yeah, that was motherfucking nice.
Like yeah, man. That's how it all starts. It's all
my haters are
retweet the stream, drunk shit. Retweet it.
I'm on Twitter. I will. My haters are like, who is this guy? They're like, who is this guy? Be Real knows his name. Gina Carano knows his name. They're like, something about this dude. He's gonna
start name dropping the shit out himself when he get to the club next week in Miami. He's gonna be walking in with his button-up silk shirt. You don't know me, baby. I'm drunk 3PO, baby. You don't know me. You don't know me.
Going back to Miami, baby.
Hey,
y'all be talking about all these towns, man. You don't talk about Miami, where it's just so chill down here.
I stopped going to Miami. Look, y'all don't even want to hear my Miami story. Y'all don't want to hear it. Y'all don't want to hear it.
I probably bumped into you in Miami, knowing what you do down there.
Shit, no, you ain't bumped me in Miami. No, hell no.
You'd be surprised.
I stopped going to Miami.
You'd be surprised who I bumped
5 years ago. No, my bad. It was more than 5 years ago. I stopped going to Miami in 2013 because I was hanging out with fucking Cash Money Records for a month in Miami. They wanted to sign me to Cash Money Sports. They didn't realize that I had just signed, or the year before, 2 years before that, I had just signed a 5-year extension. So I didn't say shit. They flew me. They brought me. I went out to Miami. They brought me out to Atlanta. I went to Houston. Motherfucking, I'm backstage, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj. I'm just like, oh no,
nice.
Shit. But a month in Miami, I'm pretty sure I almost died, so I stopped going.
That's what I'm saying. But we're so chill down there, man. We so chill. I had to leave. That's why I came to Central Florida, because it was getting it's getting rough. The best thing in my life.
You moved from Miami?
Yeah, it's got expensive, man, and it got expensive. Is really popular, but I speak, because I speak Creole. The Haitian community there, it was like it was a lot of love. It's a lot of love.
Nice,
Miami, but yeah, I had to leave.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I stayed in Haiti for some time there to do a lot of charity work there. So if I didn't learn the language, I wouldn't have survived that place either.
That's how it was when my ass was in Nigeria when I was 12. Shit, my parents were just like, "You here now, motherfucker? See you in a little while. I'm like, shit, what? Shoot, I had to learn how to speak Igbo about 3 months flat. Just I got that shit down. I tell you what, 10 days after I got back to the US. Huh? I didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. I'm like, I already forgot that shit. That was traumatizing.
How you get Young Rip on your channel, Uche? How that happen? He's a man. He don't go on no one's channel. This dude is expensive.
I don't talk about my moves.
You gotta send a couple
about how I be moving, bro. You know what I mean? Just know it's been in the works. Just know that
dude is like a Blaze superstar. He's on here like, dude, the best live stream ever was when he was waiting on them haters to come back and he was like drinking soda. Oh, that was hilarious.
I gotta bring those streams back, man.
Freaking hilarious.
I gotta bring those streams back.
Biggles Mets $2 super chat mixtape is secretly an Uche diss track. It might be just slightly inebriated. It's okay. Krista Nova. All right, beep beep boop boop. Krista Nova. What is that? Is that a California? No, that's
Canadian.
Canadian loonies, man.
I forgot she's Canadian. $3.99 super sticker. I can't see it, but thanks.
Yeah, just a super sticker.
Formerly Rod Line 3PO has serious chemistry with Gina. Did she have red hair when she was on your red hair?
Yeah.
What was that for? Is she about to do a different show or some shit? What's going on?
I don't know.
NDA'd out of his mind, man.
Is she bringing you to the fucking premiere, my nigga?
NDA'd out of his mind, man.
Oh, I already guessed it. Man, come on, bro. You talking to a professional. Come on, bro.
NDA.
It wasn't me. No, look, bro. Come on, man. Come on. NDA. I've been in the game too long, bro.
I like it.
NDA. She better be bringing you to a premiere and tell her you need a +2 so I can bring me and my people with me. I need to bring me and my homie with me. Yeah, tell her you need a +2 for any Disney premiere for next season's shows. And I ain't got the shit neither. I've downloaded it illegally, but it's a good show.
If the country opens up, that probably wouldn't be a problem. But if we can't open up,
that's right. Yeah, +2s might be illegal.
That's right,
man. Come on, bring your ass to Georgia. Ain't shit shut down here. Ain't shit been shut down here.
Are you kidding me? I'm in Florida. We got restaurants.
And I'm in Texas. Like we all.
Like we in the states where they ain't give a fuck about this shit.
Yeah, we in the states where they don't give a fuck. Yeah, we're relatively open. I just thought about that. Yeah, the 3 spots that have been relatively open. I can imagine.
Man, let me tell you something. They fucked up when they gave us a lockdown in March. Everybody in Atlanta was like, "Nigga, it's a party every day." We got no responsibilities. We got no work. We got nothing. Let's go. We partying.
Went outside. The police showed up, and everyone started speaking Spanish. Like, I don't know what.
Man, the police. Man, I ain't see a cop the whole time we was on lockdown.
We have restaurants here that have signs up saying no mask required.
You just walk up in that hole anyway.
Man, I walk into the goddamn Walmart. It says mask required, or we kicking you the fuck out, literally. And I walk right in that bitch, looking right at the lady like, huh? You want me to do what? Oh, you got one?
You an anti-masker. Shame on you.
Oh, they gonna kick you.
Right up. Man, look, I'll tell you one thing. I was even surprised that here in Georgia, these motherfuckers didn't give a fuck about that virus. I was like, I got a big jug of hand sanitizer in my car. I got motherfucking baby wipes that I'm wiping the doors down with. And this is like the first 3 weeks. So we don't even know what's going on. Everybody's scared. Everybody's terrified.
Yeah.
So I'm wiping down everything. I'm like, shit. Yeah. Going to gas station. If a motherfucker opens the door with their hand, you looking at them funny. I'm like,
man,
there's people in the chat saying, no wonder Jay never acknowledges me because I'm too big to talk to normies. Forbidden.
Man, we a superstar now.
Y'all that's not it.
Y'all the peasants now. He don't want to talk to y'all. Look at him. What's going on?
I'm hanging with football stars, and internet.
Come on, man. We washed up over here. We retired from all that shit.
No, I know they put the white person on the bottom just to make a point.
You got the bright shine in your eyes and shit. He got the gleam in his eyes. He's destined for greatness.
How many subs you jump up?
I gained 17,000 in 4 days.
God damn! God damn! What?
Hey man, that's nice. Hey, that's growth, man. Fuck, I don't even think I don't fucking did that.
Man, when my shit jumped up 1,000 in 24 hours, I was like, man, can't nobody touch me. I'm like, can't nobody touch me. I'm the coldest nigga on YouTube.
Keep riding that wave, man. You gotta ride that along.
I mean, I was live today just reading like past super chats, and there was 750 people in there.
Man, you better invite me to the next one, motherfucker.
All right, you got
my eyes. You see the look?
Hey,
I don't get a fucking text with
you gotta ride that wave, bro. Seriously, like you gotta fucking.
You got to milk the shit out of that wave. I'm talking about you have to go over the top on it.
Yeah, like for sure. Because that's when you catch it. You know what I mean? Like you got to catch that wave's there. You got to fucking ride that bit. That's what I did.
And
I did too because I had Star Wars Theory on last night as well. You know, the biggest star. Yeah. I mean, it just.
I tried to start a
4,000 people in that stream.
People were telling him to because
on my little channel. And then the first time I had him on the stream, it was 7,500 people for 6 hours. 7,500 people for 6 hours, bro.
Oh, you killing it, bro. Like you
I've never seen
chats you get. How many? Just guess how many super chats you get on that.
I know how many I got.
God, boy, fucking
over 5,000.
Counting bread.
I'm not gonna say it live.
Motherfucker, we brag about our shit over here, son.
NDA on that too. NDA on his own. So hey, I ain't mad.
I'll tell you when the stream is done.
Man,
no, it was nice. It was nice.
I remember the first super chats I got ever as a YouTuber. I remember when it was done, I was like, man, it's got to be like 1,000. Got to be like 1,000. Shit. I went.
Oh man.
Hey, bro, I went, and I go fucking look at my goddamn YouTube studio. That motherfucker said $313,000. I mean, my bad. $313. I'm like, God damn, 2 hours for that shit, you motherfuckers. I can spend this shit in 8 seconds. I can spend it right now on the pressable button.
Hey, it'd be like that.
Then I did have one where I hit damn near 1,000. I was like, they can't fuck with me.
I'm feeling good.
Hey, we ain't on that. We ain't on that Eric July money though. That man gets like 100, 500, 300. Like it just comes like, and I throw in my little $5 just trying to be supportive. And then he always gives me a nice shout out. It's
always,
nice.
but like my man, I mean, I had to. People don't understand. Like I know I'm live every day. You know, I'm live every fucking day.
See, you know what though? My bad. Real quick, only because it's my show, I'm interrupting you.
This is your show. No, yeah, this ain't my show.
I'm starting to figure out that live streaming every day is kind of the way to do it.
Yeah, no, that's what I do. That's why I moved my show to a daily format. You know what I mean? It used to be like weekly or whatever, and I'm like, nah, bro, I moved it to a live format and I moved to a daily format, and that's like been so beneficial for me economically. Like it's insane. I mean that's, and I like that because that's kind of what the platform was always supposed to be anyway. It was supposed to be this spot where, you know, creators came and they got to interact. And that was the whole lure of it, right? And like I guess live streaming on this platform has been, man, it's been crazy for me, man. Definitely over the course of these every time I think that I'm like, all right, fuck, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do anything better than this. Like we had today's stream, and I know there's some people like see Sylvester in the chat who like, you know, on today's stream was fucking nuts, man. Like like super chats just all over the place, and I'm like, god damn, man, like I'm really in a blessed situation, man. Like, and that's why I love to see guys like Drunk 3PO growing like that, because you know
he been working his ass off too.
Exactly. You know what I mean? He's been grinding, and he's going to end up getting reaping the benefit from that. And that's what I love to fucking say. I love to see my folks sit up there and create and be great. and start reaping the benefits, like that's something I fucking love to see. This is why I ain't fucking an asshole about any of this shit. You know what I mean? Like I love to see that shit. You ain't got it. That's why I'm always shouting you out.
It's always good to see the community grow, man.
Absolutely,
always good.
I know it makes it.
That means everybody's ship is rising. Everybody getting something. You know what I mean? Like I'm about people making their bread. Like that's one of my mantras. Like I want you to make money. Like,
but my thing, it was like
I work with to make money. You know what I mean?
It was the last day of 2020 when Star Wars Theory. If you know who he is, he's got like 3 million.
Dude, I've been watching Star Wars Theory for fucking like 3-4 years.
He sent me an email saying, let's do a stream together. I was like, dang, it's the last day of 2020. Gina Carano sends me a text. Hey, I'm free. Let's talk. So I was like, okay.
Man, you need to ask her why the fuck she unfollowed me.
Because you're aggressive online.
Motherfucker, so is she.
She didn't tell me anything specific, but I could tell like you're aggressive. She's
aggressive.
When she posts horses running on the beach, man. She posts sunsets. She posts stuff like that. Uche coming in. You better be
all this shit you posted. What does this shit mean? And then I get unfollowed. I'm like, bitch, I had your back when niggas was at your throat. I had your back. Blue check mark.
She still follow me, so it's all good.
She follow you? She still follow you?
Yeah, I'm following.
Fuck my shit. Look, Gina. I don't know what I did. I'm sorry.
It's his face, man. What can you say? Look at his face.
Nah, man, but 17,000 subs, bro. That's fucking.
Yeah, that's excellent, dude. That's
like beyond.
You know what? I couldn't sleep. I kept just refreshing, and it would be like, brrr, and I was like, "This is insanity!" Like, brrr, and I just refreshed. But you know, with all that love comes a whole lot of hate. I mean,
it's the best part. The hate is the best part.
I just put up a hater on Twitter now, man, and they just.
You know when they hate, you know what the beautiful thing about it when they hate on your shit, the beautiful thing is you can act like they don't even fucking exist. You never
like the name,
you
like
don't even acknowledge the bullshit.
Uche, you know me. Eric knows me. Like this person with this large following was like Gina's associating with a Hitler sympathizer, which is me. I was like,
"How about you?"
Oh, yeah, come on, dude. Who the fuck is a Hitler sympathizer? Let's be serious for a fucking second. Who the fuck is a Hitler sympathizer?
Nobody is.
Not 100 years, damn near.
Yeah, nobody is. That doesn't even.
Nobody is.
But that's how that side that you're gonna deal with that a lot. Because I get called that. Like, you know how many times I've become somebody says dumb shit, my black ass, Nazi sympathizer. Like, that shit don't even make sense, man. Like,
motherfucker, they would have killed me too, motherfucker.
Like, what you talking about, man? Like, ain't no damn sense. But what they're trying to do is obviously devalue everything it is that you say.
Yeah. They're trying to knock you off your fucking shine, bro.
If you are anything not them, then they feel like, okay, well, this guy is a threat, and therefore I'm going to try to label him as the worst possible thing that I could think of, because who the fuck is a Hitler sympathizer? Like, obviously nobody agrees that would be a good thing if you were that, but obviously nobody is that, and they know that, but they have to deem you as something that is the absolute worst thing in order to try to discredit you, and it sucks. I hate to hear people. I mean, for me, it's not, this shit bounce right out. I'm actually gonna make fun of you.
You can't cancel a motherfucker who ain't got no shame, cuz.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't got none, so you can't cancel me. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. But man, 17, like, for perspective, guys that follow me, like, that's some shit that I do. Like, I'm looking at my numbers right now. Like, I did that in fucking a month. He did that in like 3 days.
A month. Yeah. Jesus Christ. What kind of trajectory are you motherfuckers on?
Like, I do that in a month. Like, that's
17,000. Hey, motherfuckers, y'all hit the goddamn subscribe button on my channel. You hear it now? You hear me?
No, I had an
celebrity helps, man. Having a celebrity, and then also after she did I released the first one. I was in like every damn publication.
Oh, dude, you better. I bet you should have broke that down into fucking 10 parts.
I got 3. I did 3 parts.
There you go.
See, that was like when I interviewed what's her name from The Witcher. I interviewed The Witcher's showrunner, Lauren Hissrich.
Nice.
Which was dope. Like that was the first interview I've ever done in my life. And I thought it went pretty smoothly, and they were pretty gracious, and they, that she was in London when she did it, but I was kind of like, I'm the fan. That's the crazy shit. People will be surprised. I'm like, dude, I'm the fan. I am a fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, with Gina Carano, it was the same thing when I initially, reached out to help her when she was in dire need in the Twitterverse. And she hit that unfollow when I asked her a simple, non-aggressive question.
Man,
I remember when it happened. I remember.
Boy, you still holding on to that.
Gina!
Feel some kind of way.
Hey man, maybe she just thinks I'm cuter than Henry Cavill. So
maybe.
Okay. Super chat, Mikey.
Listen, my brother. My brother don't give me no.
Uche, are you ready for the Snyder Cut? You goddamn right. And fuck Walter Hamada. Fuck Walter Hamada. Fucking store the Snyderverse. Zack Snyder, if you hear me, we love you. We love you.
Eric, like, what the heck am I doing, man?
No. I like this. Right,
I love Uche, man.
We are fucking ready for the Snyderverse, for the Snyder Cut. It's coming in March.
Bro, I'm coming to your house, man. I'm coming to ATL. What the heck? I want a big party.
It didn't exist.
Can you rent out a theater, Uche?
John Campia. Greetings and salutations, listeners.
What you drinking, man? What you drinking, Uche?
Man, I'm drinking the devil's juice. The devil's drink.
Brown, man.
Good brown. Good body brown. Goddamn right.
Brown, man.
Formerly Rod Line for $2.99. He said, Gina dated Henry Cavill. Can 3PO compete? I think we just proved that he can. Look at the fedora. Look at the fucking fedora. That shit is fucking excellence right there. Look at him.
I like it.
We also got Christopher Arcella for $5. Appreciate that, Christopher. He says, hey-o, hail Uche, J, and Ripper.
Thank you. Much love.
Like that. I like that beard you got there, Christopher. That's some nice chops. Oh, anyways. So
I see I brought some life into this stream with some money coming your way. These are all my wonderful followers.
I want to know. What you drinking on?
I got sleepy time tea.
Oh shit. Nigga,
to relax.
That'll give you the same sleepy.
I don't hit the alcohol till the weekend, man. I save it till the weekend.
So what you got? What you guys? What's next? What's next for Young Ripper? What's the next move, man?
Man, that's a great question. I've had
we all watching too. We all watching.
I am kind of interested about this whole Blaze thing. I like. Yeah. What is that like? What is that kind of like? I've never really been in that environment with
well, that was a. I mean, so for perspective, like I was doing like back when Dana Loesch, before she's not with NRA TV now, but she was.
That was the chick who was running the NRA, or she was like the main.
Her. So when she before she had left there, before she went to there, she was at Blaze, and so this was like 4 or 5 years ago. This is a while back, and I would go because they're based, out of Irving.
Are they in Irving?
Yeah, they're in Irving.
I didn't know they was in Texas.
Yeah, they're based out of Irving. Well, one of the big. I mean, since the merger, there's more because they merged with CRTV, so there's like more of them now. But the main one was out of Irving, and so I would go there, and a lot of that came from. I remember talking about like minimum wage with like Tucker. This was before Tucker Carlson was Tucker Carlson. This is like
when Tucker.
Yeah.
When he was fucking latte.
Yeah. when he was just Tucker on Fox and Friends. Just that. I did something with him talking about minimum wage, and that kind of got all these guys interested in me. So I was doing her thing, doing her show, and that kind of built a relationship. And I would come on different, like Doc Thompson, when he was rest in peace. He recently passed, but he was there. I would come in on his show, and then this year comes, and they were like, man, you know, we've been having this partnership, and like I had like this 2020, this is back 2020, you know, at the end of 2019, I had this like another political explosion. I don't remember what I was talking about at the time. So we go into 2020, it's pre-pandemic and all of this. They were like, look, you know, we sat down with the president, both of them essentially, because, you know, the guys that were coming from the other side on the CRTV side. And I was like, you know, like, all right, what can we do to make something like more official? Because it was less of, okay,
put that shit on paper or stop calling my fucking phone.
Yeah. So how can we get
that's what the fuck that was?
How can we get something official?
Put it on paper or stop calling me. I'm not gonna be no fucking token motherfucker no more.
Yeah.
Give me some money.
So that's how OJ did his contracts, just so you know.
So we were talking. So that's essentially what happened. It was like, okay, that was, you know, it was like, all right, can we make dollars make sense? You know, and can we make this make sense to where it's beneficial for me, but also obviously beneficial for them? And yeah, we came up with something. And so for those that don't know, my relationship over there is throughout the week, I show up and do different shows. Like it doesn't like you won't. So I'm not there every single day, but I'm there a few times throughout the week. And I do News of Why It Matters. Sometimes I'm on Stu's show, do stuff with Glenn Beck. And that's a wonderful experience for me because, believe it or not, that was my first dream, was being in radio. That was my first. That was my first original. Like before all of this popped up, that was my first thing that I thought that I was going to do come as a youngster, you know, and anybody has this dream like to be. I wanted to actually be involved in radio. I thought I was going to be more like a sports radio commentator, but that never happened. So, you know, it moved more so to the political route. So to be in the TV and radio and doing stuff like that professionally was a dream for me, but also to be able to, which was the only reason why I did it, was because they wanted me for me. Like I said, it was never have I had a conversation with the guys over at Blaze and it was like, hey, say something that general conservatives would agree with. Never have they said that.
Nice.
That was never there's never been a conversation, not even with Glenn Beck. Like me and you guys have watched me. You see me and Glenn Beck go at it all the time. You know what I mean? We went at it at the election. You know what I mean? Like on the election day, him and I went at it, but it's cool. It's all gravy. But that's why they wanted me. They wanted me there as a person that was going to offer something that was not what it is that every guy.
Because it's not what people is going to expect necessarily to just be like, you know, an everyday thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I come in, I shake it up. It's a blessing, you know what I mean? Not just from a financial standpoint. I've introduced a big time, you know, I'm an activist at the end of the day, you know, and I've introduced a lot of people to these concepts of liberty because I've been able to be put out there. So obviously that relationship continues to grow. We got a lot of stuff that we've been talking about, like potentially that's going to happen out of that. But yeah, I love the spot that I'm in, to be honest, to where I'm just able to, I wake up in the morning and I just do whatever the fuck I want. Like it to me, that's great. It's a great feeling. It's like if I just want to fucking kick back, I could do that.
Great. Yesterday, I wasted
hold on a second.
I wasted the whole day yesterday. I was like,
Eric July never kicks back.
That's true. That doesn't happen.
You never kick back. You either on YouTube, you on Twitch, or you yelling at somebody on Twitter. There is no break. This professional right here. He don't kick back, man.
That's true. No, but like, you know, if I wanted to, I could. But yeah, I'm an active guy. I didn't get where I was at now by just, you know, half-assing it. You know, I work.
Hey, man, you engaged now. You engaged now, brother. You engaged now.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
I got obligations. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit. How old are you, brother? How old are you?
30. Yeah. Just turned 30.
I mean, it's a good year. It's a good year to do it. I won't be mad at that. But no, you good, man. You good. Congratulations, dude.
I appreciate that. But
congratulations. No, man, I remember when I got engaged, I was fucking terrified. I was like, oh, dropping the ring, flipping up under the bed and shit. I'm like, oh shit. Like, what the drop? I'm like,
damn.
Nothing. No, but that's dope.
Yeah. So that's for this year for me. That's more so what is just growing, man. I'm kind of one of my biggest, like one of my closest partners, but also one of my biggest competitors is Nerdrotic. You know what I mean? And it's funny watching him and me play chicken on who has the most subscribers. He passed me for a little bit. I recently caught him. We're literally right now, him and I both have 314,000 subs. So him and I You know,
you got him. You got 2 more weeks, so you're gonna be able to dominate. Because Star Wars Discovery is over. It's over. Doctor Who, it's over. He ain't nothing to talk about.
That's true. That's true. So, but
Neurotic's my dude. I like Gary.
My guy. I love him to death, man. And you know, that's more so been where I'm at. I'm just trying to grow. It's something new that the crazy that happens where I see some crazy explosion in subscribers or something, and that's just getting the eyes on me from other different things has been just a wonderful blessing. The only thing that sucks right now is that I can't get on the road and tour, you know, with the band. That's the only thing that makes me sick right now. But you know, I'm making it work. No, man, that's dope, man. That's dope. You know,
that's good stuff, man.
This was my first. This would have been what? This would have been I think August or September marked my 1-year anniversary on YouTube.
This is my 2-year anniversary today. It's my 2-year anniversary.
No, that's dope, man. And look, you know, it's always overwhelming when you start something new. You know what I mean? When you start something fresh that you've never gone in that direction and you go that direction. So every little thing, I was just like kind of trying to absorb a ton of information on how to do things. When I first met Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers, you know, he drove to Atlanta. Me and him met up. You know, I drove out and we met up at Mall of Georgia, and you know, we hung out, we talked, we shot the shit. You know, we actually, you know, we kind of wanted to get a feel for each other in person, just to kind of, you know, see what you know, if there was chemistry there where we could bring, you know, where I could bring something to the table. Just from a, you know, who am I standpoint. And, you know, I reached out to him. He didn't reach out to me. I reached out to him because I had been thinking about doing a YouTube channel for like a year at that point. It was like a year. So I was thinking about making the dive, and I watched Geeks and Gamers a ton. I watched Star Wars Theory a ton. I watched Young Rip. I watched Nerdrotic. I watched SVC. And it was crazy because I already had like a 10 YouTuber kind of channel community of different channels that I would watch, you know, just depending on how I feel. But these were the 10 or 12 channels that I always kind of cycled through.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him. I shot him an email, blah, blah, blah. We linked up, we met, blah, blah, blah. I joined with them, you know, and and for me, you know, he was thinking more sports, but I'm like, dude, I'm a motherfucking geek. What you mean? You see behind me over here? I got where is it? Right? I got a Dreamcast.
There you go.
What is that? That's the Xbox One X. I got the PS4 Pro. I got the Batman v Superman fucking figure, the sculpted figure there. Wonder Woman is on the other side over here. Superman's in the middle, but that one's a bobblehead. Got Darth Vader right there. I got Shenmue right there. Dude, I'm a fucking geek. I got one computer I built in this fucking drawer that I pulled apart. This computer I'm on, I built myself. I mean, everything I do as far as my media setup, everything that I have here, I've done it all myself. I'm a total geek. So like for me, you know, I can talk sports. That's easy. That's nothing. But I want to talk about the shit that I like to do as hobbies. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like exactly, right? So that was just my introduction to YouTube. And from there, man, it was crazy how much people, like, I understood it before, but now I can there is a measurable amount of influence that you can see in YouTubers now. That you know, you look at somebody's subscriber base and you say, oh, they got a lot of subscribers, or they don't. But it doesn't matter if you got 500 or 5,000. You have influence,
absolutely,
in a group of people. And there's responsibility to that, of course. But if you fuck it off, you're gonna lose them. So you got to kind of be whatever it is you're trying to be. That's who you got to be on the channel.
And that's who you attract.
Exactly, right.
People are attracted to who you are, and like
exactly,
you know.
Exactly. And for me,
some people listen. We all got guilty pleasure, man. I follow some dumb channels that do like dumb skits, like really dumb, funny things. You know, like people walking and tripping in malls, you know, and filming that. Like I don't know, it makes me laugh. So I follow that. I follow a couple cooking things that I love to cook at home. People don't realize that, but you know,
that's dope.
My people, you know, it's just. always have. It seems like I always got Eric on. So I keep calling you Eric. You good with that? Like, I don't want to like this.
I don't care. That doesn't matter to me.
I mean,
respect.
At the end of the day, you know, one of the things that has kind of been one of the things that I felt has been a new thing in my life that I've grown some from having it in my life with YouTube is just been that learning how to talk more, learning how to articulate, your feelings about things in a more structured manner, you know what I mean? Like in a more layered out way, because you're it's like you're speaking to somebody sitting across the table from you that's a homeboy, that's a friend, you know what I mean? So you have to be able to express yourself in a way that gets your point across without trying to cover all the bases, because you're never going to be able to cover all the bases. But on YouTube, you know, when you see the kind of response that the audience gives you, that the people that you have influence with give you, you know, that's something that's a feeling that I never really had. You know, with football, you have it, but it's like I have that, but I'm so busy, I can't pay too much attention to it because I got a lot of other shit on my mind. But in this realm, I get to speak to the audience, like I get to speak to them, and they get to understand how I really feel about shit. Like,
yeah, but if they like how you feel, they send you money for saying,
and if they don't
support what you're doing, you know,
you know, if they and if they don't, you know,
at
the very least, you at least they know what your stance is going to be in certain situations, just because of because of what you've said in the past. But you know, it's always been weird to me because people always hold their tongue when I have conversations with them. They don't talk freely. They feel intimidated. They feel slightly like they don't know where to kind of get into the conversation. And I started to, you know, as I got more into this community that we're all in, you know, I began to really learn more and more about the individuals and just kind of see the personalities and the characters.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. I really am appreciative of the people who watch my channel, and I'm appreciative of, you know, people like Jeremy who brought me in with Geeks and Gamers, because, you know, I did get to meet people and I've gotten to be a part of an experience and in a community that really does have, you know, a genuine interest in the things that they make videos about.
Yeah. See, that's what you, but like, and I talked about this a little bit, I believe, or with you, Jay, on that little deal that we had did.
Yeah.
And like being like, to me as a creator, as a person that's existing on like YouTube or anything like that, I think it's so definitely early on in whatever, if you want to call it a career, and some people make a career out of it. Like you have to be, I feel like you almost have to be like yourself. You know, the reason why you hear a lot of big creators, Twitch streamers, people on YouTube who feel like they have to go on like months breaks or they just quit altogether. That generally doesn't happen when that person is themselves. The reason why that shit happens is that they have been putting on they're being the person that they've been
a character the whole time.
Exactly. And that's exhausting after a while, right? Like where you're because you're not you. And you can't say what it is, even though you're talking all the time. You can't necessarily say, you feel like you're restrained in terms of what types of things that you can discuss or what you have to say. This is why I love I pride myself on that with the community that I built, but I don't know if I could have did it any other way, because if I did it the other way, I think I would have been you know, the type of shit that I'm pretty sure everybody here has experienced when you become a creator, definitely publicly. I know you're dealing with it now a little more, Jay. People, the crazy shit that people say at you. Like the thing that I love is that, well, they're saying all this shit about me, but they're saying it about me. Like I don't got a front at all. Like it's like in how I respond.
It's who I am. It ain't the character that I'm portraying. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think it's so important as a creator to keep that in mind. I know a lot of folks go into it like, well, I want to be like this guy, or I want to be this guy, and I want this type of audience. So I'm going to be that guy that the audience wants. And it's like, yeah, I guess that could work but it's gonna be from a mental standpoint. That's why a lot of y'all losing.
A lot, yeah. Some of them end up, often they sell because they have to act like something that's not them.
They're not.
Like,
but even like
not be yourself, bro. I could never do that.
But seeing the process of Eric, though, watching his channel for such a long time, he went from like standing in front of the camera to angling it over here to changing up his equipment to getting all this stuff here.
And I was thinking,
I miss his intro, man. He had that intro with the cartoon head and everything. That was my favorite. When you got rid of that, I'm like, man, I might come back in a month. Let's see if we bring it back.
I went and bought a motherfucking camera, right? And it's I got a DSLR, a nice one, and fucking hooked it up, and I seen this cat Ripper on his damn stream with this nice. I'm like, how the fuck is he streaming with a nice ass camera though?
They don't. It's this one, but for whatever reason, they don't like it. Like a StreamYard doesn't like it, so it kind of frees.
Yeah, there he goes. He gone. Shit, let me get these super chats. We got $5 from RC and NYC. Jay didn't have his fedora on his team. He was free. He was freezing with the ski cap on.
I was cold. I am still cold. I got the blanket on me though.
We got Mikey Gussler for $5. Appreciate that $5, Mikey. He says, there you go.
My bad. But it's this one. But it's like the problem
is
that
that's the one. Yeah.
The problem is it kind of starts lagging and shit.
It's because the FPS on the camera is too high.
StreamYard doesn't like it, so it kind of it's all like I think y'all see it fine, but I'm looking at it like on the audience. I'm like choppy and shit.
Yeah.
So that's why.
You're. It's because it's that high FPS.
Yeah.
And Streamlabs is only built for like 30 FPS on camera.
They don't like that. They don't like that shit. So but no, I was upgrading my shit like a motherfucker. Like I'm always trying to keep this shit fresh, man.
Man, I had a Mark III that I lost. Bro. I had to put because I sold one of my cribs and I had put I thought I had put my camera equipment, which I had this was when I was thinking about doing the YouTube channel a couple years ago. So it was like I had about $15,000 worth of equipment.
Nice.
Just in, and I mean, it was like Mark III with the fucking $2,500 lens. I had like a $1,000 mic. I had all this shit. And I'm pretty sure my mover stole them. I'm pretty sure my mover.
You got to watch them, man. Yeah, watch the movie.
I wasn't in town. I wasn't in town when they did it. That's why I was like, and then they fucking shattered like one of my dining room tables. So I'm like, fuck, like y'all got the wifey over here in my ear about this shit. I need some money. But let me knock this super chat out here. Mikey says, what you looking forward to the most in the Snyder Cut, Uche? I'm looking forward to Ben Affleck's Batman being Batman and not making jokes constantly. And you're goddamn right, because that Justice League bullshit never happened. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the Snyder Cut. For those of you who don't know out there, I am DCEU all day fucking long. And I'm talking about Snyderverse. I ain't talking about none of the extra shit. I'm talking about Shazam, which was... I almost fell asleep in Shazam. I almost fucking fell asleep, and they gave it a fucking 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, huh? Wonder Woman 1984.
I saw that on a plane, bro.
I'll be honest.
Shazam. I was flying.
It was I give Wonder Woman 1984 a B-. I thought it was a good story, a good message in the story. It wasn't executed as well as it could have been, but hey, I'm a DC fan through and through. So for me, I'll find something that I like in every DC movie. Birds of Prey was garbage. Birds of Prey was garbage, but I thought that the original Suicide Squad was a butchered movie. I thought the original Suicide Squad movie was badly was a good movie that was butchered by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has done a lot to fuck themselves right now with the DC, which is such a shame because their characters are fucking amazing. and they have great actors in the roles as the characters, but they just can't fucking get it right and let the fucking directors make a movie. Now, that being said, yes, Patty Jenkins kind of laid a fucking an egg, relatively speaking, with Wonder Woman. There's no denying that. But I think the third and final part of the trilogy will redeem that because she ain't got no motherfucking choice. So,
we'll see.
But I mean, I never in my life would have imagined that Batman would be laying on the fucking ground.
Why?
Holding his nuts, saying, yeah, something's definitely bleeding. I mean, the crowd was dead silent in the theater when that happened.
I was laughing, man.
Like,
I was laughing.
What?
I'm not a DC guy, so I'm Marvel.
This is Batman. You just broke Batman.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, dang, this is like a Marvel, because I'm a Marvel person.
I
I'm
was
not
like,
a DC.
this is too much. I was like, this is too far.
They made this to a Marvel movie.
Batman sitting there saying, oh, something's definitely bleeding.
Yeah, that's
I was like, nigga, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Well, it's a Marvel movie, man.
Kill him off right now.
That's something that's something Iron Man would say. He would say that. Iron Man would say
Mikey
that.
Gussler for $5. He says Nerdrotic is currently watching season 1 of Batwoman. By the way, season 2 is coming out on the 19th. Damn, Ripper. You going to review the new Batwoman?
Yeah, I will for y'all.
Dude, I wouldn't watch no Batwoman TV show. I don't give a fuck.
I'll do it for y'all. Yeah. I was on kind of reviewing some of the like the first season when it was going on before it turned to shit. But I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot for y'all.
What's your show? What's your show, bro?
Right now, shit,
for
man.
Me personally, The Boys is that shit, bro.
Yeah,
ain't nothing like The Boys, bro.
It's hard. I don't really even have one. I'm getting caught up on all like the Arrowverse stuff, but I don't really have. Now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't really even been watching a lot of shit. I've said that I was gonna go back through because Disney Plus has a lot of the old like animation. Like I was starting to like the Silver Surfer, the old Silver Surfer cartoon is on there. So I want to go and rewatch some of that because I did that with the X-Men. I rewatched a lot of the X-Men and like the animated series, and I want to start doing stuff like that, like putting it in perspective because I was a kid.
Man, the old X-Men.
Yeah, like all that whole.
Dude, that's what I grew up on, dude.
Yeah, that's old. That's classic.
So I'm like, I'm a little bit older.
You catch yourself laughing, don't you, Eric? You be laughing at some of that stuff.
Yeah, like it's
funny. It's like that old animation.
Yeah, the old animation. You know what, dude? Yeah, there is one. Whenever I hear about X-Men the animated series, there is one sound in my head that plays every time I hear that now as an adult. Gene! Wolverine. I'm like, this is a fucking simp for Gene all day long.
Yeah.
That's all Wolverine used to do in the show. And I'd be like, fuck Cyclops! Come on, Wolverine! Come on!
When you watch it as an adult, man, it's like it gives a different perspective. Like it's kind of crazy. That's why I wanted to rewatch it. That show had a lot
some of the grown-up themes in it.
Yeah, that show had a crazy amount of depth.
It dealt with a lot of racism.
And I was watching like some of the shit. I was like, man, I don't even remember this shit. But you couldn't really conceptualize it when you were a kid. I had,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I had the showrunner, and one of the writers. Erica and Julia Lewald on my show to talk about because they were showrunner and the writer for X-Men the animated series, and they were talking about how, and it's like you just know writers don't even have this like thought process anymore. They were like, we refuse to write down to the audience. We knew the show was going to be on Fox Kids and all that. We didn't fucking care. The whole idea was that we just wanted to make a decent show, and that's why that's a classic. That's why it'll forever be one. And that's why it transcends generations because of exactly that.
X-Men the animated series and Batman the animated series.
That's
two of the greatest animated
animation. Both of those
ever.
Yeah, that was the best.
American animation.
Bro, you can't tell me that these two shows didn't really hit.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need, not even talking about the source material. These two shows hit the core identities of each character.
Yep.
Like to the T.
Like that's Batman.
That's Batman.
Animated series. That's Batman.
Like all of his struggles,
perfect.
all of the drama, all of his struggles, all of his psychological issues that Batman dealt with. The gray, the episode with the gray. What was he? The gray. The dude who was his kind of his inspiration on the TV show. The gray bomber or some shit like that. But that episode was like heavy. Watching it as an adult, I remember, dude. I was watching Batman the Animated Series with my daughter because she loves Batman. And, you know, we had all the seasons on Amazon. So we're watching it and I'm like, shit, this has to be going overhead because this is
of course. It's depth. Those shows has so much depth. Both of those. X-Men.
There's such a message that they're trying to get across in this episode about loss, about fucking acceptance, about fucking, you know, about doing whatever it costs, you know, about the mission. Like,
yeah.
I hope that it really is going over her head and she's not catching some subliminal shit in her head because this is adult shit, kind of.
Yeah.
In a kid's cartoon.
Yeah, no, that's why it transcends generations, and that's why when you watch it now, you have a new even respect for, like me when I went and watched like the first season of the X-Men animated series. It was like almost watching it because watching it versus when I was a kid because that was what 93. So I'm
93, 94,
young. You know what I mean? So going from that, watching it as a youngster, and then watching it as a grown man, it's like. It's a different experience because definitely after I talked to the writers and the showrunner and getting their perspective, it's like wow, like they was like we knew it was on Fox, but we were just writing a good X-Men show. Like
Fox didn't even know. They were just like, wow, this is great animation. Yeah, they realizing we put a real story together.
Yeah, like we were like paying attention to they were paying attention to the source material, like and all of it. They was like, this is what we wanted to make a good solid show, and that's why those are the only kind of shows that transcend generations. You don't write to the audience, you don't write down, even if it's on Fox Kids, you can still make it a cool animation. That's all kids care about anyway. A bunch of powwow explosions, and then everything's fine. Like that's all they care about anyway. But if you want it to transcend generation, you don't write down. You don't write down to them. You make it solid. And this is why those old. I don't know if anybody I don't know if Boomerang. I went through the phase where I was like watching Boomerang. Like for
Boomerang, you talking about
like old, like all those old, like ones that were before all of our times.
The
reason why that like is so that all that Hanna-Barbera shit, like that's the reason why those transcend generations. And if you watch it as an adult, you can see like fucking.
But that's so good. It makes you want to go grab the comic books.
Yeah,
and like just deep dive. Oh,
man, it's like when you start watching those kind of shows, you basically just start. You start seeing what you see it from a different perspective, right? So you're seeing it from the wow, this is a great story. Like, wow, this is like there's a real message here. Yeah. Now, when you were little, you were like, oh, I get it, but wow, that scene with Wolverine was dope, or wow, that scene with Storm was dope, or wow, that scene with Batman fighting the Joker was dope. But you didn't necessarily process the gravity because of the life experience that you haven't had yet.
You couldn't conceptualize that as
you couldn't even conceptualize that this is really talking about the pain that people deal with in their life, like how it's hard, how they have to deal with and face certain scenarios that force them to face fears, that force them to face realities, So But no, man, look, I want to try and bring this, try and wrap this up for guys because we're pushing 2.5 hours now. Totally up to y'all, but let me knock out a couple more of these super chats and then we can wrap things up. Mikey Gusler, where can I find good BVS merchandise? Also, McFarlane Toys are making Snyder Cut action figures. You gonna pick some up? I will. You know what? You know what's crazy? And my wife actually stopped me from doing this. Like she told me, don't do that. I was gonna buy the life-size fucking version of that statue. It was 6'4". $15,000, and I would well, this is before BVS came out. I was like, babe, I'm fucking buying it. She's like, don't you do that. She looked at me, she said, don't. I was like, why not? We can afford it. Why not? Why are you fucking with my life? Why are you making my life terrible? What are you doing to me? And I was like, I know where to put it. I'll put it right at the bottom of the stairs into the basement. It'll look fucking perfect. As soon as you're walking down, you just see fucking Batman standing there. It'll terrify motherfuckers. And I almost bought it. But, Mikey, honestly, dude, I just go to the manufacturer and I just order it. So if they have good ones that I like, especially McFarlane toys, they'll probably have a one eighth size or some shit like that. That's good. But they're it's whatever I like. Really, I wasn't into buying a ton of memorabilia like that from comic books because I have so many boxes full of comic books that dating back to my childhood. Me and my brother collected them like it was nothing. All DC, like we're DC all the way, real talk. But I'll buy some. I'm sure it's a Snyder cut. I'm absolutely going to. I got some of his T-shirts. I donated to his suicide prevention fund. So, definitely. And I've also hinted to Zach, if you need a big black African guy for a role, I'm your guy. All right. Christopher Arcella for $10. Appreciate that, Christopher. He says, Uche Rippa, are you two a fan of the comic Batman Year One? Come on, dude. Who the fuck is it? What? When I went to school of visual art for cartooning, I had Dave Mazzucchelli as my professor. I also had Sal Amendola as my professor. Those are two big names in art. Alex Ross is my favorite. Alex Ross is my number one when it comes to comic book art. And Joe Quesada, I was a huge. Well, let me revise. Jim Lee number one. He's 1A. Alex Ross is 1B. Joe Quesada is 3. Who else? Who else was a great comic book artist when I was coming up? Man, Joe Quesada was a beast. Joe Quesada, the first time I ever seen one of his comics was when it was the Sword of Azrael storyline with Batman back in like the mid 90s when they first introduced Azrael into the story. But it's crazy here in Atlanta. There's a university for arts. It's called SCAD, and it's apparently world renowned for an amazing number of just ridiculously good artists. I mean, and these guys are so good, they either end up working for like Pixar or they end up doing, in comic books or they end up being fucking tattoo artists. So, but they end up being like the best tattoo artists in the entire city of Atlanta. Like unbelievable. But no, that's cool, Christopher. Cool that you had that you were able to.
Yeah, and Batman Year One didn't answer that. Yeah,
Yeah. Batman Year One is the definitive Batman origin story. I feel like Batman Year One is the definitive origin, and Batman: The Dark Knight Rises is the definitive like ending of the Batman saga. If you were to put a beginning and an ending on it, which obviously 80 years running can't really do that. But I think when people look at the final chapter of Batman, many of them look at The Dark Knight Returns and say that's fitting. That's fitting. So no, but appreciate that super chat there. Another one from Christopher. He says episode called Beware the Gray Ghost. That's right. Yes, Beware the Gray Ghost from Batman the Animated Series. That is widely considered the most gripping episode of the Batman Animated Series run. That was a run. I mean, dang, dude. I know we just talked about it, but it actually still kind of blows my mind how good that era of fucking Saturday fucking TV shows, comic book cartoons was.
Like I said,
even Spider-Man. Spider-Man was even a
Spider-Man. I was just about to mention Spider-Man. Yeah.
I mean, that was the golden age, dude. Yeah. The 90s was the fucking best.
Was rocking, and we wouldn't even.
Nobody touched the 90s. I always
refer to the 90s and the early 2000s as like
early 2000s. Yep.
Like, and that was also culturally where like it seemed like we were over the race hump for a long.
We were, dude.
Like I talk about, I did a video talking about this where like you remember growing up, if you grew up actually in the 90s, like growing up like in the 90s and going into the earlier 2000s,
like being in your teens,
in your teens,
in the 90s.
Like if you remember that, like that was we weren't on that race shit. Like you could speak to that being in Dallas too. Like we wasn't on that shit. Like we wasn't like
on it, dude. People didn't get offended by a bunch of shit, dude.
No, we wasn't on that shit. We wasn't consumed by that. Like I look at, you remember all the shows? Like I remember my mother would watch.
I used to think that Simpsons was fucking edgy back then.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Like, you think about
band, man. You couldn't wear Simpsons shirts in schools and stuff like that.
They thought that was an edgy. But no, like think about like even the shows that and the stuff that you consume that with people like it wasn't even a word. Like you had like the Living Singles and all of that stuff that was cool, and white folk watched those, and then you had guys like Love and Marriage and Married Children.
Married Children. One of my favorite shows.
Yeah, like that.
Al Bundy is the ultimate alpha motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And we grew up in it, like we would watch that. People of different races would consume that media, and it was just good shit. And I thought we went through a period, like again, the 90s going to early 2000s, we were like over this shit. And then
until about 2007, 2008, I think.
And then some fucking like
something happened and shit just went sideways, man. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I can't say this no more. I can't say that no more. Like,
yeah, we was over
him, her, what? Pronouns? What? I'm still confused. I'm like, what the fuck you mean by pronouns?
Different time, man. It was certainly, that was a beautiful time.
It was you
awesome,
know what? Man. You know what I appreciated about that era of life was that people had enough distance between each other. And I mean distance. When I say distance, I mean people had enough space personally and digitally from each other that every time you got together with your friends, it meant something. Like it was you always about to do so. I was about to get into something. You're gonna have a good time. Like there wasn't no cell phones. Yeah. Like motherfuckers don't remember a time when there wasn't no cell phone.
Yeah, true.
I didn't have a cell phone till I was to my second semester of my freshman year in college. Like there wasn't no cell phone. So when you go out with your friends, it's like you gotta be back before it's dark, before it's totally dark.
Right.
You be motherfucking cutting it on your bike, watching the sun just slowly going down. Like, Dad! Mama, I'm sorry. I've been home for 20 minutes, sweating my ass off.
Yeah, I remember those days. It was a great time, man. Like I remember doing a video, like I said, a couple of
people made a lot of money too. People were making money. People were comfortable. People were making.
It was awesome, man. It was.
You know what I mean?
The media that we were consuming from like 90s to the 2000s were just so good. Like
it was so good, dude.
Music wise, it was awesome. Like that was,
we had the most legendary artists.
Yeah, Jay can go another hour, man. I gotta get some food.
No, we about to wrap up, dude. Yeah. No, we appreciate it, man. Appreciate you, big dog. Drop anything you need for your.
There's one super chat for me. Mikey says, "Drunk 3PO's Indiana Jones 5 gonna be like The Last Jedi." No, nothing will be as worse as The Last Jedi. Even if Indiana Jones falls down a hill for an hour and a half in that movie,
they make another.
It will never be as worse as The Last Jedi. But
they make another crystal skull.
The sources that I know say that what happens is Indiana Jones gets captured and a young group has to go and help him. That's how they're going to get past all this other stuff.
So did that with Star Wars.
That's all I'm saying. Hey, love you all. Eric,
hey,
Uche, my dude.
You,
thank y'all. My stomach is growling like crazy. Yeah.
Bees.
Yeah, no, man. But just to, kind of wrap things up. Yeah, dude, no. What you said is dead on, dude. Like that time in life, I mean, some of my greatest memories, but there were so many things that were absolutely the best in the 90s. Like music was the best
music, like,
in the 90s.
Think about New Jack Swing era, all that shit. Like
everything, dude. Like instruments. They use instruments.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like that was a completely different, like even going into like fucking late 90s. Like,
I mean, I'm diehard.
Lauryn Hill, like Diamond albums. Like you don't get that shit. It's just, it was just the media that we were consuming in that time was just from like top to bottom was so good, man. And it goes, it's not underappreciated anymore. Now you realize. I was talking like I don't know if you watched that. Speaking of New Jack shit, New Edition when they came out with that It was some like biopic that they came out with recently that was really, really good. If you have, it was almost as good as the TLC one. The TLC.
Oh shit! I gotta check it out. Then you need to let me know what it's called. Just
I forget what the TLC one is. Fucking incredible. That one.
The TLC one was top notch.
Yeah, like that. I don't know if it doesn't necessarily top, but the New Edition one was real good. But I don't think people remember like New Edition. All of those guys like went solo and they still were going.
Casey and JoJo.
Yeah, like it was. Oh man, like it was. There was just an era of music and we're just not gonna.
No doubt. Like no, what was it called? The ones that did the track with Dr. Dre. East side to the west side.
Oh, Backstreet.
Yeah. Drew Hill. Yeah. Drew Hill was only like 2-3 years, but Drew Hill hit it hard, bro. They changed the whole club music scene.
Drew Hill wasn't playing around. Cisco wasn't playing no games, man.
And then Texas came into the scine. We had screwed up and chopped up music started hitting the scene. Shit, you had
that was house. Switch out,
man.
And then in our era, like early 2000s, that was when like the DSR shit and like all that shit was popping up. And
Zero, all them cats.
Yeah, that was all early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Like that's a form of media that we're just not gonna.
That's the music I still listen to.
Yeah, I said shit. I
can't listen. I mean, unless I, because I own a couple of big clubs out here in Atlanta. So unless I hear shit in the club, I mean, it's only because I hear it all the time that when I hear it, I know what it is. But I don't listen to that shit.
Yeah,
I listen to 90s to early 2000s hip hop and alternative music because I'm a huge Nirvana fan, huge Metallica fan.
But you look at what even that genre was doing in the 90s and going into 2000s. Same shit. Like that, everybody was killing.
That's when all their best shit was. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Nirvana, they got followed up by Pearl Jam. They got followed up by at the same time with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, these were like legendary.
These guys ain't being touched.
Musicians.
2000s, like out for those. Put that into perspective. That's like when M came out. That was like,
M. Then you had that the original Cash Money surge.
That was the late 90s, early 2000s. Like and then fucking Linkin Park dropped. Then
Linkin Park.
That was all That was all in the same fucking like.
Yeah, and that was at the time when we were the most moldable we were gonna be as adults.
Yeah,
that defined our whole being.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's we'll never. I don't know if we'll ever have like a 10-year span like that where everything was fucking like every genre, every form of media. Comic books was like comic book media. Fucking even the comic books. What? That's what I'm saying. Like that was people forget. Like that was going in like late 80s, going into that was when the Thanos quest and all of that shit was.
Yeah, after Superman came in '93, then you had Nightfall, then you had all these different storylines.
Those holographic fucking covers and shit.
Like the holographic covers. Yeah. Oh man, the holographic covers just. I used to think that shit would be worth $1 million.
Yeah, same here, man. I got like Storm when Storm had like one of those like it was like a 5-issue limited series. I think it was the first one like that came out in the 90s with the holographic.
Yeah, because they started doing. Everybody started getting their own little small single their own single character arcs in the comic books.
Yeah,
that was that Jim. That was the middle of the Jim Lee era.
Yeah, man, that's
man. So those were the fucking days.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if we'll ever have.
It's crazy because I don't, you don't meet too many people who remember a lot or who were old enough to remember a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, man, you motherfuckers missed out. Yeah. If you ain't get part of the 90s, you missed out.
Yeah.
I was born in 2000. You missed out.
You missed the boat, man. You missed the boat.
All you know is suck. That's the worst shit. All you know is the worst shit.
Yeah, you know that garbage, man. Oh man, that was so good. So good.
But hey, man, Eric July, man. Look, man, I really appreciate it, dude.
That was fun. Let's do it again.
Of course, man. Anytime you let me know, and I'll come onto your channel.
Yeah, I think I have you on mine too. Yeah, because I don't made my rounds. I'm making my rounds actually again. Neurotic recently. So yeah, let's do it again. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Let's do it.
Sure, man, for sure. And everybody in the chat, everybody in the audience, really appreciate you guys for sticking with us. We've been going out for 2 hours and 40 minutes, nice. and we've traveled a winding road of different topics.
Yeah,
and it's been all good. You know what I mean? I respect this guy a lot. I really really am glad that I got him to come on, because I didn't want to seem like I was thirsting to have him come on, because I've asked him a couple of times. I've asked him a few times. Yeah. Hey, man, want to come on my show? But no, it's all respect, because I know this man is, handling business, and he's got priorities he's got to take care of as well. And 2020 was just one of them years. So we just kind of had to just work our way through there. But
we here now,
I appreciate everybody for being in here this morning now. It's 12 o'clock, and I hope everyone is I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their night. Sleep well, sleep tight, and we will catch you all on the next one. That's going to be that. So talk to you guys on the next stream. Peace out.